Chapter 287. Steward Zhang glared at Steward Chun as if he was his enemy. He had a reason to do so. Even the nephew of the emperor didn't treat him that way. Even the third-grade minister didn't treat him that way. How dare you, a small steward of the Chen family, treat me like that? Steward Chen smiled and looked at Steward Zhang with the eyes of a winner. Steward Zhang had already walked in front of Steward Chun, but he suddenly stopped. After thinking about it, he turned around and went back. He met Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and said, "Little young master, little miss, let's go now." Steward Zhang just suddenly thought, "Why should I talk to you first? I didn't go to you, so I turned around and came back." Steward Chen, if you want to talk, just say it. If you don't want to talk, then forget it. Anyway, you have to come later. Steward Chun was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled and gently patted the invisible dust on his body with his hand. He took the initiative to come over and said to Steward Zhang, "Steward Zhang, my master said that he can give the Zhang family a chance. Go and find someone who can make the decision. If you miss this chance, there won't be a next time. You have to seize it well." "Who is your master? Do you know me? But why don't I know you? What's your name?" Steward Zhang looked at Steward Chen indifferently and said disdainfully. Now he was the host, not to mention that the little young master and the little miss were beside him. Steward Chen suddenly laughed. "Ha ha ha ha. Steward Zhang, what's wrong? Are you scared? Do you feel ashamed? You failed to do what you wanted to do, so I came to find someone who can make the decision in your family. You feel ashamed?" At this time, before Steward Zhang spoke, Zhang Xiaobao asked first, "Steward Zhang, who is this person? Why do I smell the stench of money all over my body? What about you, Cuckoo?" "Me too. I don't have a good figure, good looks, temperament, talent, and taste. It's not his fault for being born like this, but it's his fault for wandering around." Wang Wan understood. Zhang Xiaobao was letting the butler vent his anger first, so he naturally knew what to say. When Steward Chen heard what the two kids said and had to face their disdainful eyes, his face turned green and then white. Steward Zhang, however, burst into laughter at the side. He looked gratefully at the young master and young madam and said, young master, it's all my fault. In a moment, I'll tell the people over there that they can't let anything in. Please punish them." At this time, Steward Zhang had an impulse to cry. The young master and young madam were really good. They helped him say these words that no one would have thought of. He didn't expect that these two little ancestors were not only good at making money, managing and scheming, but also so good at insulting others. They were really like immortals. Steward Chen felt bad for a while. Finally, he remembered who had the upper hand now. He tried to suppress the anger in his heart and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan with a smile, "You are the children of the Zhang family and the Wang family, right? How old are you? Where are your parents? Where are you from?" Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Steward Chun and asked with a sneer, "I am the steward of the Chun family in Zhuangzi." Steward Chun calmed down. He always felt a little absent-minded when facing the two kids. "Oh, steward? I thought you were the head of the family. What does your master do? What rank is he?" Zhang Xiaobao asked again. "My master doesn't have an official position. He specializes in big business." Steward Chen replied, "Business? Businessman? You're not even a farmer? Don't you know that this is where the government lives? How can you be so unruly?" Xiaobao, business is really bad. Look at his steward. How can he be a steward with this kind of appearance? Don't tell me that your sister is your master's concubine." At this time, Wang Wan said, "Who said that the people of the Second Bureau wouldn't insult others?" Wang Wan's innocent appearance made people vomit blood. Wang Wan was just casually saying. She didn't know that Steward Chun was really her master's concubine. Her words were like a knife that stabbed into Steward Chen's chest. Steward Chun felt his vision go black, and he almost fainted. After shaking his head twice, Steward Chen couldn't bear it anymore and shouted loudly, "My master will give you a chance. As long as you promise to sell 30% of the rice to my Chun family at the normal price, my family will give you water and let you pass. Think about it carefully. After you think about it, go to the Chen family and beg my master." "Humph, you two kids, let me tell you, because of you, your family has to give 10% more rice. Originally, 20% was enough, but now it's not enough." After he finished speaking, he still felt angry and stared at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Wang Wan turned her head and didn't want to talk to this person. Zhang Xiaobao curled his lips. Go back quickly. Ah, the outside world is not suitable for you. Now I'm telling you, because of what you said, the Qin family will go bankrupt. Take care of yourself. Steward Zhang, let's go. Why bother with a crazy person? As soon as Xiaobao finished speaking, the three of them walked towards the small river. Steward Zhang protected the two little ancestors who helped him vent his anger. From time to time, he would look back and smile at Steward Chun. Steward Chun really wanted to beat the two kids, but he didn't dare. He felt that if he really rushed over, he might die here. He didn't know why, but he had this kind of idea. After standing there for a while, he turned around and left, waiting for the Zhang family to come to the Chun family to ask for help. Then he would take revenge. When he turned around and left, in a pile of firewood 20 steps away from where he stood just now, a person put away the longbow in his hand and continued to lie down, half asleep. In a tree hole on the other side, someone put down the crossbow, spat to the side, narrowed his eyes, and stopped moving. Steward Zhang, are you still angry? Later you can still make them angry, even their family head. Zhang Xiaobao said to Steward Zhang. Little young master, little miss, today I did vent my anger. I didn't expect you and little young master to be so powerful. I admire you. I'm not angry now. Which family steward was wronged, and the little young master and little miss of the main family helped him. I'm so old, and I'm most grateful to my father and mother for giving birth to me in the Zhang family. Steward Zhang had already vented his anger, so he spoke incoherently. At the same time, he also knew the little ancestor's ability. He estimated that Steward Chun wouldn't be able to eat or sleep when he went back. Zhang Xiaobao enjoyed Steward Zhang's flattery and said, I left him for you. Otherwise, cuckoo, and I would have made him angry. Little young master. Yes, little young master is right. Steward Zhang didn't care whether little young master was talking nonsense or really had the ability. Anyway, little young master was right. The rest was up to him. Humph. Was the Zhang family so easy to mess with? The three of them talked and laughed as they came to the place where the explosion was going to happen. On the other side, there were already people preparing to fill the sandbags. Wang Wan was personally in charge of positioning and estimating the amount of gunpowder. She looked left and right and asked people to empty the place she was sure of. That was the shovel and then the gunpowder. A long line of gunpowder was pulled out and only stopped when it was 200 meters away from the other side. Everyone else dispersed. Wang Wan personally lit the fuse and watched as the line of gunpowder flew towards the other side. Accompanied by a loud boom, the remaining area was directly blasted open. Water flowed down the Dug River. The people on the other side threw sandbags down one after another. It didn't take long for the other side to be blocked. The water in the river disappeared in an instant. Okay, now we just need to wait. Steward Zhang, I'll leave the things here to you. Zhang Xiaobao pulled Wang Wan and walked towards between the clouds and the water. Steward Zhang stood there in high spirits and waited. At first, he waited for a servant of the Qin family, but when he arrived, he didn't say anything. He looked at him and then turned and ran away. After more than half an hour, more than 50 people appeared. The person in the front was Steward Chun. He walked and said something to the person behind him. When they arrived, Steward Chun directly shouted to Steward Zhang, Steward Zhang, what do you mean by this? Why did you block our side? There hasn't been much rain recently. I'm afraid that Zhuangzi is short of water, so I blocked it. Steward Zhang now felt that life was too good. When he went there, that was what Steward Zhang said. Your river. My river is jointly owned by the Wang family and the Ge family. This place belongs to both of our families. Why don't you sue us, Steward Ge? Steward Zhang wasn't anxious at all. He asked Steward Ge, who also came to help. Yes, that's right. There hasn't been much rain recently, so we have to block the river between our two families. Steward Ge said cooperatively. Steward Zhang then said, this river really can't be used anymore. Why don't you think of other ways? If you want to dig a well, we can help. We'll pay you the usual wages, and you'll have to eat and drink like how we treat the farmers. When Steward Zhang said this, he pinched his leg hard with his hand. He was afraid that he couldn't help but laugh, so his face turned red. This time, The people of the Chen family were dumbfounded, especially Chun Gingxin and Housekeeper Chen. Housekeeper Chen told the old master about what happened that day. Chun Gingxin laughed at that time. He didn't expect that retribution would come so quickly. Chun Gingxin glared fiercely at Housekeeper Chen and asked him to go up and plead for mercy. Housekeeper Chen had no choice but to squeeze out a smile and said to Housekeeper Zhang, "Housekeeper Zhang, look, our two farms are next to each other. We are neighbors, so we will have to help each other in the future. Do you think you can go easy on us?" Steward Zhang was waiting for this sentence. He turned back and smiled at the people he brought. When he turned back, he cupped his hands and said to Steward Chun, No, don't. The Zhang family's farmstead doesn't want to have anything to do with your Chun family's farmstead. The two original farmsteads are finished. What if they implicate you? Today I'll get people to plant thorns there. Please be magnanimous and don't have anything to do with the Zhang family's farmstead. Chapter 288. Yesterday, the river flowed past my door. Today it has stopped. I asked the river to go to the other side. The sky is blue. That was the thought of Steward Chun and Steward Zhang. One day, in just one day, their master and subordinate positions had undergone a great change. Both of them had mixed feelings in their hearts. The day before yesterday, just the day before yesterday, Steward Chun felt that he had stepped on the clouds. He didn't expect that he would be kicked down and flattened. Looking at Steward Zhang's appearance and hearing what Steward Zhang said, he felt that it would be good if it was just a dream. The Zhang family was indeed worthy of their reputation. Steward Zhang was not calm at this time. The young master was indeed the young master. He was as calm as a mountain and as swift as thunder. With the young master in charge, the two Zhuangzi didn't seem to have to worry about anything. They just had to go forward. No matter if they got into trouble or were wronged, they didn't have to be afraid. They would be safe when they returned home. Finally, Steward Chen lowered his head and said, "Steward Zhang, I have offended you 2 days ago. Please be magnanimous and treat it as a dream. What do you think we should do?" Dream? It's fine if it's a dream. Life is a dream. When you wake up, no matter what happens, the sky is still the sky, the earth is still the earth, and people are still people. The water still can't be changed. Steward Zhang wouldn't let go of the water just because of Steward Chen's words. The water level was not enough for boats to sail here in the future. Chun Gingxin came here with a group of people to tear down the dam. Seeing that the Zhang family had 5 times more people than them, and some of them were holding crossbows, he had no choice but to suppress his thoughts. Seeing that the steward couldn't do it, he had to stand up and say to Steward Zhang, "You must be Steward Zhang." Good idea. But the river doesn't seem to belong to the Wang and Ge families, right? If it's like this, the families who live on both sides of the Yellow River can change the river's course at will. The Chen family's road can belong to Zhuangzi. Why can't the Wang and Ge family's river belong to them? This was Sanshui County. If the head of the Chen family was not convinced, he could go to the Yamen to complain. There were more than 700 Yamen runners in Sanshui County. Perhaps they would act impartially and arrest the Wang and Ge families. Or Lord Chen could write a memorial to accuse my master of bullying the people and taking advantage of the water. My master is currently in the capital, and he might be arrested. Not to mention the imperial examinations. He might even be thrown into prison in Chang'an. Oh, I forgot Lord Chen is not an official, so he can't submit a memorial to the higher-ups. How about this? Master Chen will personally head to the capital and report to County Magistrate Pei. If you feel that there is no way to find your way, you can look for the registrar, who is County Magistrate Cheng of Sanshui County. Steward Zhang was naturally not afraid of whose family the river belonged to. If the Chen family had the ability to take over the river, then why couldn't the Zhang family do the same? Chun Gingxin also thought of this. Even if he spent money to get someone to investigate, they would definitely find out that his house was blocking the road. Thinking of this, he took a few steps forward and came to the housekeeper's side. Before anyone could react, he slapped Housekeeper Chen's face. "It's all your fault. You took advantage of the fact that I didn't care about family matters to privately block the river and block the road. Wait and see how I deal with you when we get back." After slapping Housekeeper Chun Gingxin turned to Steward Zhang and said, "Steward Zhang, it's my fault for not being strict enough. If I have offended you in any way, please forgive me." Steward Zhang. This water? Lord Chun, the water has been diverted, and it can't be diverted back. Lord Chun is a noble, and usually you don't have time to care about this kind of thing. It's better to let nature take its course. Steward Zhang felt sorry for Housekeeper Chun. Look, Housekeeper Chun took advantage of the situation, but when something happened, he was used as a punching bag. It was not easy being a housekeeper. Chun Gingxin thought that a slap would be enough, but he didn't expect the Zhang family to be so difficult to deal with. He hesitated and finally said, "Is the Zhang family's wife here? I have some cloth business to discuss with the Zhang family." The Zhang family also has a cloth business in the capital, right? I don't have the final say in this business. There are other bigger cloth businesses. I can take this opportunity to introduce them to Mrs. Zhang. The water is not urgent. Steward Zhang understood as soon as he heard this. No wonder Chen Gingxin dared to lay hands on the Zhang family. It turned out that there was a person in the cloth business who was related to him. Saying this was a threat, Steward Zhang was about to tell this matter to the little child. But he suddenly remembered that the little child said that he would take care of the Chun family's business alone. In this case, he couldn't ask the little child for help. He thought about it and said, "Lord Chun, you don't know. The business of the shops in the capital has been bad, and they are preparing to close. The business of the restaurant is not bad. Does Lord Chun have the help of those who run the restaurant? Then I will go back and discuss with Mrs. Zhang. I can't help with other things." Chen Gingxin didn't expect the Zhang family to be so stubborn. They would rather close the business than go easy on him. He frowned and thought about it, not knowing what to do. Steward Chun, who had been slapped, finally couldn't help but stand up and say, "You Zhang family shouldn't go too far. Your family head is going to the capital to take the imperial exam. Even if the Chun family has to go bankrupt, we won't let him pass. Who is so powerful? To be able to take care of the imperial court's imperial exam? Let me see. You must be very capable. In this case, doesn't it mean that whoever your Chun family wants to be the top scorer will be the top scorer? This marquis doesn't know who the examiner is. Could it be that you already know? Tell me, let this marquis take a look." Li Sun came over and happened to hear Steward Chen's words. He asked with a sullen face, Just kidding. Little prince, don't take it seriously. There is something wrong with Steward Chen's head. He often says the wrong things." Chen Gingxin quickly explained. At the same time, he glared at the steward. Didn't he know to look at the people around him when he spoke? Li Sun turned around and looked at the head of the Chen family. He said, "I think there is something wrong with your head. Otherwise, why would you use this kind of steward? Why would you dare to have any ideas about the Zhang family? There are people from the cloth trade. Amazing. I wonder how much that cloth trade can help you?" Yes, little prince is right. There is something wrong with his head. The cloth trade is just a business. There is no such thing as helping or not helping. Steward Chen didn't dare to say anything about the cloth trade. His status there wasn't high. This was a critical time for the imperial exam. How could the cloth trades people offend the marquis for him? In that case, what are you still doing here? It's just the river changing its course. Which river hasn't changed its course? Don't make a fuss. Go back first. I will think of a solution with you. Li Sun casually talked about the change of the river. He waved his hand and coaxed these people as if they were flies. The head of the Chun family revealed a wry smile. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He said goodbye to Li Sun while leading his people back. After the Chun family left, Steward Zhang immediately came over and asked Li Sun, "Little prince, why are you here? Is it okay if I don't come? The water on Zhuangzi has been cut off. I have to come and see where to get water. This year, the Li family is planting rice all over Zhuangzi. I want the seeds from your family." Of course, Li Sun didn't want to tear down the dam. He planned to come here and see where he could dig a small hole. He would find someone to make a ditch. Steward Zhang had an idea. When he heard Li Sun's words, he said, "Little prince, there is no need to get water from here. There is a small river in front of our house. It has less water than here, but it is enough for the Li family's Zhuangzi. As long as it rains, there will be more water. Looking at the sky, it seems that there will be rain in a few days. Little prince, why don't you dig a river over there? The Zhang family and Wang family still have water from the pond and well. It will be troublesome to make a hole here." "That's good. I can also help the Qin family." The Chen family has more than 3,000 mu of land. It's not easy. Li Sun thought for a while and said. Steward Zhang was stunned. Little prince, you want to help the Chen family? Of course, this marquis won't take sides at this time. This marquis cares for the people of the world. I will help. I must help. We can't lack water during the spring plowing. 5 strings of money a day. No, that's too much. 200 copper coins per mu. We will split it 50-50 with each family. 200 strings of money, 100 copper coins per family. It will be the same every year. We can't ask for too much. 1 mu can produce about 3 dan, which is only a few hundred copper coins. If we take out 200 copper coins, we won't have much left. But we can't give water for free, right? Li Sun was calculating. If he wanted to charge 200 copper coins for 1 mu of water, then the Chen family would have to plant rice as well. Rice was more expensive, but if they planted other crops, they would suffer a loss. They did not use much water, and the grains they produced would not be worth more than 400 copper coins per mu of water. When Steward Zhang heard this, he was dumbfounded. There was a limit to the rent that the villagers paid. Even if the main family wanted more, they couldn't ask for too much. Otherwise, the villagers would starve to death. According to this amount of money, the Chen family would have to pay 60 to 70 copper coins per mu if they collected rent from the villagers normally. If they asked for more, they would have to pay 30 to 40 copper coins. If they didn't want to pay, then the farmers didn't need to live anymore. Unless they could produce the same amount of rice as the Zhang family and Wang family Zhuangzi, averaging 4 dan per mu. If they wanted to make a fortune from farming, then it was impossible. Especially Li Sun's last sentence. It was the same every year. In other words, the Chen clan was losing money every year. As long as they still wanted the manor, they could forget about earning money. At most, they could just keep some food at home in case of emergency. Little prince, aren't you asking for too much? If they add this money to the farmers, then they won't be able to survive. Steward Zhang reminded him in a low voice. It's good that they don't want to work. My family is short of people. This marquis cares for the common people of the world, so I can find a way for them to live. It's also fine if it's cheaper. 100 copper coins per mu, or 50 copper coins. This marquis also wants to open a cloth shop in the capital. It just so happens that they have a cloth shop. This marquis cares for the common people of the world, so I can help them sell some. Li Sun was thinking about the cloth shop. He was now helping the Zhang family, and wanted to stand up for this matter. Chapter 289. The spring plowing finally began vigorously. At this time, one could see the strength of each family in Zhuangzi. Whichever family had more livestock, that family was definitely not ordinary. The Zhang family and Wang family mobilized more than 500 cattle to work in the fields. Some of the fields were directly filled with rice straws, so there was no need to plow at all. They only needed to add fertilizer, and some of the fields had to be plowed several times. Beside the fields were the people sent by the main family to help with the cooking. Before the farmers went to work, they all drank a mouthful of wine. Those who drank more than 50 degrees only drank a mouthful and did not dare to drink too much. The Gu family also got nearly 30 cattle in Zhuangzi. This year, the farmers of the Gu family wanted to compete with the Zhang family and Wang family. In the past, they could say that the tools were not good, there were not enough cattle, and their bodies could not compare. This year, there was no other reason. She gave them all that he could. If it was like last year, they fell behind by a large margin. Without the main family being angry, the farmers themselves would be sullen to death. Li Sun also thought of ways to get some livestock. He could not find too many cattle. The Zhang family and Wang family had never stopped buying and breeding cattle. The older calves were almost 2 years old and could do some work. However, Li Sun had other ideas. He got a group of horses. There were more than 300 horses. These horses were not good enough to be used as military horses, but they were better horses to pull carriages. If they were used to plow the fields, everyone who saw them would feel distressed. The horses were faster than the cattle, but they did not have as much stamina. Taking turns, they were not slower than the Zhang family and Wang family. In the end, the Chen family accepted Li Sun's idea. They spent 50 copper coins to buy water for 1 mu of land. In the future, They would also provide all kinds of silk cloth for evaluation to Li Sun and Zhang Jiazhuangzi. Housekeeper Chun was no longer a housekeeper. When he returned home that day, he was severely beaten. Chun Gingxin pushed all the blame on a housekeeper Chun. Even if his concubine pleaded for him, it was useless. This time, he miscalculated. He thought that the little prince would not help the Zhang family with such great fanfare. He thought that he could contend with the Zhang family by relying on the cloth trade behind him. In the end, he realized that the Zhang family was still the same Zhang family that no one could take advantage of. He could only suppress this anger in his heart and wait for an opportunity to take revenge. Now, it was impossible. The people in the cloth trade were also promoting some people to take the imperial examinations. As long as these people became officials, it would be very beneficial to the cloth trade. They really did not have the leisure to care about other things. If there was no imperial examinations, it was not a big deal to provoke a marquis. In the future, they would not do anything in other people's fief. But now they did not dare. Who knew what kind of effect a marquis would have in the imperial examinations? In the capital, County Magistrate Chang had a good time these days. It was spring plowing, and everyone used a curved plow. Every time this happened, they would think of County Magistrate Chang, who made this plow. It was said that the emperor had mentioned him in person. The other officials immediately began to curry favor with County Magistrate Chang. County Magistrate Chang took this opportunity to start a big banquet. Usually, he went to two big markets, the East Market and the West Market. The places he chose were naturally the Zhuangzi's Embrace and the Success House. Every time, he would bring Father Zhang and introduce the people who would attend the banquet to him. The status of these people was not too high, but there were too many people. The officials below the fourth rank kept coming, but the higher-ranking officials did not come. Some of them received a letter from Minister Bai, who had not decided whether to resign or not, and some of them received a letter from the little prince. They were all waiting there. There was still a month to go before the imperial examination in spring. They were not in a hurry now. They were waiting for others to work, and then they could work according to the situation. On this day, Li Sun found Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang were thinking about a new plow. For example, they wanted to shorten the shaft a little, increase the curvature a little, and change some parts to iron. This way, it would be slightly more convenient, flexible, and durable. The head of the curved plow used by the rich was iron, while the poor could only use wood. Naturally, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang used iron. Make some texture at the place where the hand is holding. It will be more comfortable to hold it, just like the handlebars of a bicycle. Wang drew on a drawing and said, she and Zhang Xiaobao didn't know what the best plow would be like in the future, and they couldn't remember it either. Usually, they didn't care much about it, but they would ask the villagers if there was anything that made them uncomfortable when they used it. The villagers would tell the two of them what they were dissatisfied with. The handlebars looked simple, but the hands of those who worked would inevitably be stained with mud. When they held the handlebars, there would be some sand between their hands and the handlebars, which was uncomfortable. To solve this problem, they could wear gloves, but they would not feel good, so there were no thin gloves. They also could not put a basin of water at the side and wash it from time to time. The two of them thought about it and decided to carve texture on the handlebars. If there was sand on their hands, it would fall off after a few rubs. It could also increase the friction. As for the length and degree of curvature of the shaft arm, it was also changed according to the suggestions of the villagers. When plowing, it was impossible to maintain a good straight distance with the hand holding the plow. When walking in front, because the place where the force was applied was different, it would deviate and need to be adjusted. This was also a laborious work. During the adjustment process, they would press down on the handlebars and let the weiwei in front of them lift up. The longer the position in front of the fulcrum, the longer the resistance arm would be. If the resistance arm was shortened alone, the direct force of the force at the back of the fulcrum would be greater, and the bending could be reduced. As for the replacement of parts in some places with iron, it was because the plow was not always spoiled. When plowing on the ground, the wear and tear was relatively large. Often, after plowing, they had to stop and change a part. When the soil was slightly bigger or hardened, they had to change more often. Every time they changed, they would waste some time. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang did not care about the consumption of time. What they cared about was the speed of plowing. They had to be faster than the Gu family and the Li family next to them. The villagers always had to be first to be more confident. While the two of them were discussing how to take advantage of the time to change, Li Sun came in. No one stopped him from entering and leaving the place where the two of them were. As soon as he came in, he saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan with their heads together, muttering and drawing. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also heard the sound. When they looked back, they saw that it was Li Sun. Zhang Xiaobao hurriedly greeted, "Young Master Li, how come you have the leisure to come here?" Li Sun did not speak directly. Instead, he walked a few steps to the table and looked at the drawing on it. Then, he looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and said, "Good for you guys. I helped you guys in vain. Now that you have something good, you don't want to give it to me to use." Others say that the curved plow was made by Chung Anren. I don't believe it. Sure enough. At this point, Li Sun paused and put on an apologetic look. She then looked at another picture and asked with a frown, "What is this? Shoes? Can these shoes be worn?" The other drawing did indeed show a pair of shoes, but they were made of wood. This was not a big deal, as most people who could not afford to wear leather boots did so. However, the front of the shoes was carved out of a whole piece of wood, a space big enough for 5 toes to fit in. Li Sun could not figure out what the two of them were going to do with such a useless piece of wood. Zhang Xiaobao pulled the drawing over and explained it to Li Sun. "My family and the Wang family have some broken stones in the fields. If you go in barefoot like other people, your feet will be finished. Wearing these shoes is much better. You don't have to worry about being scratched. Because in the mud, if there is wood in front, you won't get stuck in the mud." Li Sun finally understood. Yes, you Zhuangzi people care about the farmers. You don't care about wasting wood. Then what's the matter with this plow? It doesn't seem to be any different from the current one. Li Sun pointed at the drawing of the plow and asked. This drawing only changed the proportions of some places. There was also a grid drawn on the handrail. If one did not look carefully and was not familiar with this aspect, one would not be able to tell the difference at all. This is just a drawing for fun. I want to see if it can be more useful. First, I will make a batch for my own use. Then, I will tell others. Just tell this to Registrar Zhao. Sanshui County cannot always be without a county magistrate. Registrar Zhao has always been in charge of it. Since he can manage it, why not let him be the county magistrate? Zhang Xiaobao also had plans for this. Although it was only a small improvement, if it could increase the efficiency by 10%, then they might be able to plow more during the entire spring. The first plow was to turn over the soil. Later on, it was to let the fertilizer mix better with the soil. Li Sun looked at the drawing carefully again and did not see any difference. His interest was also reduced. "Oh, then you guys can try it first. If it is useful, I will make some changes to the one in Zhuangzi." After saying this, Li Sun said again, "The school has started to be built. They asked me to find more people to join us. I'm just thinking about who to find." "So, anxious? Fine, young Master Li, you can find people to join us, but you can't take out the money now and let them continue to invest. Then, according to our agreement, are the documents of the 3 workshops and the 3 schools under our management and not under their management?" Based on Li Sun's words, Zhang Xiaobao knew that those people had no money. The workshop had been doing odd jobs, but they had not sold anything. Because the workers' skills were not good enough, they could only break even. However, the craftsmen had to be paid, their meals had to be paid, and the apprentices had to be paid as well. It seemed that each person did not have much money, but there were many people. They said that they did not have 90,000 strings of coins, but they did not have that much money. A few days ago, they took out another 10,000 strings of coins. Those people did not have much money. If they did not find more people to join them, they would collapse. The dock had not been built yet, and only a site had been marked out. Yes, that's how it was signed. When they signed, they were not willing. Later, I used my status as a marquee to pressure them. I also said that after the dock was built, it would be theirs. So, who do you think I should find? How many people should I find? Li Sun mentioned the matter of the document. He seemed to feel that it was not good to use his status to pressure them. Chapter 290. Li Sun was a fool. He didn't know that he was caught in the middle. It was a battle of wits between Zhang Xiaobao and those people. Without Zhang Xiaobao's help, he would have lost the 10,000 strings of cash and offended many people. After all, he was the one who found people to join. Others would end up losing everything and could only blame him. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao say that he could find people, he asked, "Then how do you think we should find people?" Find people. First, find people who can invest money. Tell them that there will be ships in 3 years. For now, we will only build ships that can be used in ordinary rivers. We will form our own fleet and sell ships. As long as they buy a ship from our dock, we will not need to spend money to maintain it. For example, if there is a hole somewhere they can find us, we will send people to tow the ship or repair it directly. They will pay for the wood. If there is none, we will sell it to them at a slightly higher price. We don't need to pay for the repairs. If their ship hits a big rock and breaks apart, as long as they pick up the board or something, we will use the board to add some materials to build a new ship. We will only take a portion of the cost. However, all the ships we sell must be marked with our dock's logo in an obvious position. When they ship things to our supermarket, they can only take 90% of the shipping cost. During busy seasons, they will give us priority to ship things. Zhang Xiaobao made use of everything that could be used. Rivers and canals required many ships. It was impossible for a dock to take care of all of them. They could only sell as many ships as possible. Even if the ship in the southernmost part broke down, as long as they were willing to wait, they would send people to repair it. If they hit a reef on the Yangtze River, as long as they could really get the board back, they would give them a discount. It was impossible for everyone to have the leisure to do so. What they wanted was a reputation. Li Sun couldn't tell the benefits of doing so. Thinking of the person behind this, he agreed. Then let's do that. I'll find people and discuss it with them. Don't. When you find people, tell them first. Don't let them know. They don't have much money. It's impossible for them to build a ship in a year. Liar, when they can't give you the 10,000 strings of cash and run away, you can find others to join. We will do it ourselves. We can't just throw it to that place for nothing. Zhang Xiaobao could only tell Li Sun the truth. Otherwise, if Li Sun found people to invest, those people would continue to survive. Liar? How did you lie? Xiaobao, tell me. When Li Sun heard Zhang Xiaobao's words just now, he felt like he was no longer in the human world. How did he suddenly become a liar? Zhang Xiaobao told Li Sun what Wang Wan said and said to Li Sun, "Now, let them take out the money they should take out. You gave them 10,000 strings of cash, and I gave them 20,000 strings of cash. One merit is 70,000 strings of cash. They now have to take out at least 10,000 strings of cash. Do you think they can take it out? Send someone to find out who they have been in contact with these days, especially when you gave us 10,000 strings of cash a few days ago. Ask them, and you will know what they want to do." Li Sun had never heard of such a thing. Now that he heard it, he was stunned and blinked his eyes. It could be said that a huge wave was set off in his heart. When he first came, he wanted to help the Zhang family. In the past, he always took advantage of them. Now that he heard these words, he realized that things were not that simple at all. No wonder Master was relieved when he found out that this matter was related to the Zhang family. It seemed that Master should have noticed that something was wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. So that was the case. Li Sun was not in the mood to talk about other things. He hurriedly left the Zhang family and found someone to investigate what those people had been doing these days. As for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they continued to draw the blueprint from the night before. After drawing some more, they felt that it was about time and immediately got someone to make it for them, especially the shoes. For the past 2 days, the villagers in the farmstead had been wearing normal shoes. Previously, they had tried barefoot and found that they couldn't walk at all. The wheat and rice stones below not only separated the feet, but they could also accidentally cut the feet. There weren't so many craftsmen in Zhuangzi. They were all in the fields. Fortunately, there were many craftsmen who didn't need to farm among the people digging the river. They stopped digging the river first and rushed to make new plows with all their might. In one day, they actually modified more than 200 sets. The people who made the shoes were a little slower. Zhuangzi didn't have that much good wood, so they had to get it from elsewhere. They could only let the villagers wear ordinary shoes to work in the fields first. The masters would make them again in the future. Once the new plows were used, the speed really increased. Li Sun came again. Quick, give me 2 sets of your new plows. I will also go back and ask someone to make them. I have asked someone to look at them. They said that the changes were not big, and they are easy to use. This credit will be given to Registrar Zhao, as you said. There will be a new round of officials soon. I will think of a way to let Registrar Zhao be the county magistrate, let Deputy Zhang be the registrar, and let Deputy Dao take the position of Deputy County Magistrate. Then, Child Li, please take care of it. In the future, Sanshui County will at least be stable for a few years. You don't have to worry about the new county magistrate. Have you asked about those people? Zhang Xiaobao also planned to do so. After Sanshui County had a dock, it was a little unstable. He had to take control of this place. When the time came, he would send the county magistrate one by one. Wasn't it just a political achievement? It was a simple thing. When Li Sun was asked about those people, his face turned a little ugly. He said, "Thank you for reminding me. In these days, they actually borrowed some money from others. 20,000 strings of coins. They even told those people that when the time comes, they will secretly use good materials to make boats for them. They will only pay for ordinary materials. It seems that they really don't have money. Today, I will ask someone to find them and ask them to bring more than 10,000 strings of coins to me. If they can't take it out, then they are lying." At that time, it was written in the document that they can take the land if they want, but they can't take the rest of the money back. When Zhang Xiaobao heard this, he also admired those people. In order to find a big flag, they actually deceived others to give money to Li Sun. They were ambitious and dared to do anything. Just like the people from Tubo, they were prepared to kill people in the Zhang family. They were really well informed. Tubo? Daring? Zhang Xiaobao suddenly thought of these 2 words. He linked the 2 things together and said to Li Sun, "Send people to continue to investigate. See where they came from and whether they had contact with people from Tubo. If they succeed in the dock, it will be summer at that time, and it will be impossible to harvest much food here. In addition, there are some people who are hiding and want to destroy the dock. When the time comes, a lot of money will be cheated by them. Do you think that the cheated people want to make up for the loss? Will they sell food here at a high price? Will the cheated people not think of this idea, and someone will remind them? You said that the people who did business with me were sent by Tubo. Do you want to stir up some trouble here?" Li Ji wiped the sweat off his forehead as he spoke. There was a lingering fear in his heart. If that was really the case, then he would be considered a part of it. When the price of food here increased and people started to hoard, Royal Uncle would definitely send people to investigate. After investigating and finding out that he was a part of it, then Li Sun did not dare to think about what would happen next. He thanked him and did not even have time to care about the new plow. He turned and ran. When he was outside, he shouted to the guards, "Quick, go back to Zhuangzi with me. Call the others back." The guards did not know what was going on and followed Li Sun back. Li Sun ran 2 steps and stopped. He pointed to a guard and said, "Carry me. Run quickly. When we get back, you will be rewarded." The guard did not think about the reward. Since the little prince asked him to carry him, he could only carry him. The crowd took turns to carry Li Sun back to Zhuangzi. Headmaster, something bad happened. I am in trouble. Think of something quickly." As soon as Li Sun returned to Zhuangzi, he went to the study. Seeing that there was no one in the study, he ran and shouted. It was the people in the yard who told him that someone was loosening the soil in the back garden. When Li Sun found the middle-aged man, he was loosening the soil bit by bit with a small shovel in his hand. Sometimes he would poke a stick into the soil. "Headmaster, something bad happened. I was cheated and almost became their accomplice. Help me think of a way. How can I find out their background?" Li Sun stood in front of the middle-aged man and said while panting. The middle-aged man did not know what he was talking about. He asked in confusion, "Who cheated the little prince? Zhangjie Zhuangzi?" "No, it's the people who want to build the dock. They don't have that much money. They want to..." Li Sun told the middle-aged man what Zhang Xiaobao had said in the past 2 days. When he finished, he said, "I need to find out their background. Right now, I need to investigate their background. I don't have that many people around me who can investigate. Whether it is true or not, we will know when the time comes. If it isn't, then let them build the docks properly. Also, don't let them have the authority to control it. Rewrite the document. If it is true, then send it to the higher-ups. So it's like this? There is no lack of capable people in Tubo. They know the weakness of our dynasty. When the time comes, they will send troops again. We won't be able to provide too much food. There is no food in the capital. They only need to send spies here and spread the news. The people will be in chaos. The middle-aged man was also shocked. After thinking about it, there were many things that Tubo could do. Looking at Li Sun's anxious expression, he let out a sigh of relief and said, "There's no need to be anxious. Let's first report this matter to the prince and let him send people to investigate. You have to capture the person first, regardless of whether you captured the right person or not. Wait until the prince's news before making a decision." Chapter 291. Li Sun was stunned. He suddenly remembered that it was Zhang Xiaobao who told him directly. There was no one else? Could it be that Zhang Xiaobao also had the same ability? Teacher, when I was looking for Zhangjia Zhuangzi, it was Xiaobao who told me about the workshop. These days, I didn't see any forces from the Zhang family specifically looking for information in the county. Could it be that when Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about making money, the people behind him found out something? Li Sun told the middle-aged man what happened that day. The middle-aged man couldn't figure it out either. Unless Zhang Xiaobao was so powerful that he directly predicted that someone was going to cheat Li Sun. This was absolutely impossible. And the Zhang family had been busy with other things. How could they have the time to train people to look for information? Little Prince, could it be? There are many Yamen runners in the county. Those Yamen runners didn't do what they do now. They have some tricks up their sleeves. With the relationship between the Zhang family and the Yamen, they can mobilize these Yamen runners. It was the Yamen runners who helped them find out. Zhang Zhongren felt that this was the case. There had to be a reason. Let's not talk about this first. Anyway, I know that in the future, I will look for Zhang Xiaobao. Don't be afraid of being cheated. This time, we even made a profit. No wonder his family kept delaying taking out the 20,000 strings of coins. They didn't plan to take it out at all. Li Sun was worried just now, but now he felt that it was fine. He captured them first and didn't have to worry about them causing trouble. At this moment, a guard hurried over. Little Prince, when those people went to look for them, they didn't see them. I heard that they left together and took a boat to the west at Wei River. As for where they are now, I don't know. What? Headed west? Ran away? Then they must be related to the people who were almost killed by Little Red's poultry 2 days ago. Now that they know the news, they think that the matter has been exposed, so they ran away. Chase them for this marquee. Send a fast horse over, and send a letter to the prefecture to let my father search the entire prefecture. When Li Sun heard the guard's words, he knew that there was no need to investigate further. Those people were in cahoots. Thinking of the consequences if he didn't cooperate with Zhangjia Zhuangzi, he was scared and angry. He shouted for people to chase after them. The middle-aged man was relieved and advised, "Little Prince, don't be angry." They ran away. The shipyard, workshop, and school, as well as the money they took out before and the money they swindled, all belonged to the Little Prince and Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Yes, that's right. It saved me some effort to have people catch them. I'm not angry at all. After all, I'm the one who made the profit. Xiaobao also told me about the shipyard. I can find someone to invest and build a good shipyard. Otherwise, it would be a waste of such a good place. I'll discuss with Xiaobao. Li Sun was still angry, but he wasn't as angry as before. Thinking of his gains this time, he smiled. As long as he kept in contact with the Zhang family in the future, there was no need to worry. After saying this, Li Sun excitedly went to Zhangjia Zhuangzi. He still had 2 sample plows to bring back. The matter of writing a letter was left to his master. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't stay idle either. They received the letter from Mr. Zhang. They took the official route and sent it directly to Sanshui County through County Magistrate Cheng. When Sanshui County saw the letter, they sent someone to deliver it to Zhangjia Zhuangzi. It took 6 days for the 3 letters and several small items in the capital city to arrive. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao sighed. It was so fast to take the official route. Otherwise, it would take more than a month to bring the letters back. It was considered abusing power for personal gain. Zhang Xiaobao read the letter from Old Master Zhang and Old Madame Zhang. Zhang Xiaobao didn't see the letter from Jiang Wang clan at all. In the letter to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, she praised Zhang Xiaobao a little and asked him to be obedient at home and not cause any trouble. She also asked him to reply to the letter. Zhang Xiaobao told his family not to tell others what happened here. He only told them the good things. After he finished writing the letter, he asked the Yamen runners to bring it back. At the same time, he also brought back a few new plows. He wanted to send them to Registrar Zhao and Zhou Shihu. This time, he asked him to do it. There was only one thing left to do, which was to plan the digging of the river. After the digging was done, the spring plowing would be almost done. The river would rise, and his father would start the examination. As for whether the road that was blocked by the Chun family could be opened or not, Zhang Xiaobao didn't care at all. Who would want to travel by land when there was a waterway? Carriages weren't that sturdy. It was easy for them to break down after a while, especially Gulu. Usually, those who traveled by carriage would have to bring along good tools to repair the carriage and some oil for the axle. Zhang Xiaobao also didn't care about the Chen family. The relationship between a businessman and an official couldn't be compared to the relationship between an official and an official. If someone were to find someone to deal with the Zhang family, that person's first consideration would be the Zhang family status. Keep the mud and throw it into the pond. Or dig a mud pond. Didn't Grandpa want to occupy the 2,000 mu of land? Let him find a broken piece of land and occupy a bit more. When the time comes, we'll give him the mud. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao stood on the small bridge and looked at the scene of those people working. They saw that the mud that was cleaned was black. From time to time, some red insects and leeches would flip out. They thought of an idea. Zhang Xiaobao was talented in this aspect. He immediately understood Wang Wan's plan. That's good too. Just put the mud in the places that can't be used for farming. We should dig a mud pond and put a layer of water on top. Every once in a while, we can let it out and replace it with new water. We can raise these red insects in it and use them to feed the fish. Even if there are leeches, it's fine. They can be used to make medicine and expel blood clots. Have you tried it before? I've tried putting the leeches in places with blood clots. They will drill their suckers in and suck the blood clots. I've heard that some people with rheumatism also use these leeches to recuperate. As for the rest, we can raise loaches. I still like to eat them. They don't like to eat them. We can keep them for ourselves. As long as we raise them in clear water for 2 more days, the earthy smell will be reduced. We can wrap them in egg white flour and fry them. Dip them in salt and pepper to eat. They are not worse than eels. They can also be snacks. What snacks? Li Sun came over from Zhuangzi. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao mention snacks, he smacked his lips and asked. He liked to eat snacks behind Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. The two of them could always get some snacks to eat according to the seasons. Every one of them tasted good. Loaches. Do you eat them? Zhang Xiaobao asked. Yes, as long as you can eat them, I can eat them. What's the big deal about loaches? I've eaten insects. I've survived in the wild. Since then, I've not been picky about food. I'll eat whatever you cook for me. No matter how bad it is, it can't be compared to those insects and wild vegetables. Li Sun puffed out his chest and said. He seemed to feel very proud. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan laughed at the same time. They didn't know if Li Sun had written a book about it and sent it to the top, but the effect was good. At least Li Sun was more frugal when eating. In the past, when he went to between the clouds and the water, he would ask for a table full of dishes and eat only a few bites. Now, he asked for 2 of his favorite dishes and ate them all. What's so funny? I have a place to dig out the silt. Give it to me. Li Sun also knew the value of the silt. After settling under the water for so long, there were rotten leaves and dead fish and shrimps. It was good to use it for farming. Zhang Xiaobao was not polite to Li Sun at all. No, I've talked to Cuckoo. I'll give it to Grandpa Bai. I'll get some wasteland and put the silt there. Grandpa Bai will have more food and money. It's useless to give it to you. When you get the land and run away, the land here will be taken care of by the servants. You won't need it. It's fine to give it to old Shangshu. Xiaobao, those people ran away. My people were a little late. Now, everything belongs to both of our families. You can't spend money blindly. Hurry up and fix the dock and build some boats to transport things. After the spring plowing is over, hurry up and fix the restaurant here. A wooden restaurant must be built before summer. I'm still waiting to make money. When Li Sun heard that the silt was left to minister by, he did not argue with him. Looking at the unfinished restaurant between the clouds and the water, he became anxious. Zhang Xiaobao was also waiting for the spring plowing to end. At that time, he would follow the plan he had discussed with Wang Wan. He would build some small canals at the place where the Zhang family and the Wang family lived. He would also plant some flowers and raise some small fish. He would also build a road on the mountain. When the time comes, this place would become a paradise. He promised, "Don't worry. When they finish digging the river, I'll find someone who knows how to do that kind of work. It won't take too long. I don't know if my father can be the county magistrate of Huayuan County. Sanshui County can't do it. It was not easy to get the county magistrate of Huayuan County. Didn't Minister Bai say that he will help? As long as someone recommends him, he should be able to come over. Aya, when the time comes, the two counties next to each other will become your families. It's over. The Chen family is in big trouble." Li Sun imagined that after Zhang Zhong became the county magistrate of Huayuan County, Zhangjia Zhuangzi would be here. He also thought about the Chen family. When that time comes, won't they be constantly making things difficult for them? Zhang Xiaobao immediately denied, "I am a good person. My father will also be a good official. He will not accept bribes, nor will he be greedy. He will also not bully the people." Li Sun curled his lips. "Your father accepts bribes. He is a fool if he is greedy. Your family is not short of money. I don't know if your father is a good official or not. Anyway, I feel that the Chen family is finished. What if someone forces them to give you money? Then accept it, but it can't be less than what my family has. Ask someone to take the person who wants to give you money to the warehouse. As long as he or she is willing to take out the same amount of money, accept it. My family does not have much money. We are still in debt." "Really?" Zhang Xiaobao sincerely said to Li Sun. Chapter 292. Sprouts sprouted on both sides of the broad road, and the swallows returned to their homes. There should be no idle people during the spring plowing, and the downtown area was bustling. In Sanshui County, there were not many people buying and selling things in the market at this time of the year. The people were busy farming or waiting for others to bring the plows for repair. However, this year was different. There were many people coming and going, and all kinds of hawking sounds came one after another. The registrar Zhao Xiang and the deputy county magistrate Zhang Mingxing were busy with some small things. They walked around together, looking at the lives of the people and the bustling scene. All these were thanks to the two of them. Both of them thought so. They had been doing their jobs and did not make trouble. They also did not look for trouble with the Zhang family. That was why Sanshui County could be so prosperous. They greeted the people they knew one by one, and the two of them walked to the dock. There was still a sea of people here. There were fewer people studying, but there were still many people working. There were some people from other counties who did not have fields and did not know how to do any handicrafts. After knowing that there was a shortage of people at the dock, they came to work because they had some strength. There was indeed a shortage of people at the dock. Many people who had fields at home had gone back to farming, and the people from other counties had just replenished the manpower. Those who had finished farming would be given new things to do. The Zhang family had a lot of work, so they were not afraid of not finding a place to work. The people who sold liangpi came out early. They went to Zhangjia Zhuangzi to ask for liangpi, and Zhangjia Zhuangzi had to make some for them, even if the weather was not hot yet. The deputy county magistrate and the registrar Zhao Xiang walked and looked and sighed at the changes in Sanshui County in the past 2 years. "Brother Xiang, if there was no Zhangjia Zhuangzi, what would happen to us here? Would there still be a dock? Would there still be those businesses?" The registrar Zhao Xiang said happily. The deputy county magistrate Zhang Mingxing. Wei Wei shook her head. "No. Who bought this broken mountain in the first place? When they bought it, many people said that they were stupid. Now we know who is stupid. It's a pity that County Magistrate Cheng won't be able to see it. He's still busy over there. This summer, We can make a lot of money from selling ice. In winter, we can sell a lot of ice so we can still sail here. That's right. Zhangjia Zhuangzi is still here. It's not easy for County Magistrate Chang to come here. After Jia Shan came here, he didn't know how to be stable. He made a lot of trouble and got himself into trouble. I wonder who the next county magistrate will be. Will he also want to make a lot of trouble and suffer losses before giving up? Zhao Xiang had always been thinking about the position of county magistrate. Last time, someone else had taken it away. This time, he felt that there was not much hope. However, he would rather be a registrar here than be a county magistrate elsewhere. He had already fallen in love with Sanshui County, so there was nothing much to worry about. If there were some problems in the county, it was nothing more than someone's chicken running away, someone's child falling down, someone's house leaking. No one in the family could work. Just take the yamen as an example. Now, the yamen's function had been adjusted. Basically, all they did were trivial things like this. Even if it was just building a fence for the yard, someone would come and find them. The people were not afraid of the yamen at all. Of course, they did not just want people to work without paying. Occasionally, there were people who killed pigs at home. They would bring some pig's intestines and make some food according to the recipe given by the Zhang family. They would also make some wine and eat with the yamen runners who were guarding here. When the deputy county magistrate and the registrar caught up, they would also eat together. There was no need to worry about public security. It turned out that the local government runners were all very smart. Out of the 700 local government runners, 600 of them were patrolling everywhere. Even the farthest place of the Qin family now had a local government runner an hour away. Those who wanted to cause trouble were frightened when they saw such a dense patrol. The deputy county magistrate Zhang Mingxing knew what Zhao Xiang was thinking. In fact, he also wanted Zhao Xiang to be promoted. He himself was not in the top class. If one said that he was a member of the yamen, then he was. If one said that he was not, then he was not. He could not be promoted directly to the position of county magistrate. He could only wait for Zhao Xiang to be promoted so that he could replace Zhao Xiang's position. Seeing that Zhao Xiang was silent after talking about the next county magistrate, Zhang Mingxing said, "Brother Ji Feng, don't worry. Maybe the next county magistrate will be you. I will also be popular. In the future, Sanshui County will be better. We don't have to worry too much. Just follow what the Zhang family says." I also want to, but the hope is slim. In fact, Zhangjia Zhuangzi also helped a lot. But there are too many people who want this position. Zhao Xiang was not confident at all. This year's Sanshui County was better than previous years. When the river was expanded and connected, maybe a 6th grade official would be willing to come over. Then why don't we go to Zhangjia Zhuangzi and ask if they have any ideas? There's a master there. They are also willing to find an obedient person to take this position. Who among us in the yamen is disobedient? When Zhang Mingxing talked about Zhangjia Zhuangzi, he suddenly came up with an idea. The two of them went to ask. The Zhang family should have a way. If the new county magistrate could be removed, it would not be too troublesome to find an original county magistrate. Zhao Xiang was also moved, but he shook his head and said, "The Zhang family has too many things to do recently." Zhang Zhong went to take the imperial examination. His family spent a lot of money. They have so many things to do. How can they have time to care about us? We will only make trouble for them. Sigh. We can't do this, and we can't do that. Are we really waiting for a new county magistrate? I have my eyes on your position. I am not satisfied. Zhang Mingxing did not hide his thoughts of wanting to go further. For a moment, Zhao Xiang didn't know what to say. He couldn't just resign and give the position to Zhang Mingxing. If that happened, his mother would beat him to death. His mother was also from a scholarly family. She expected him to be a high-ranking official and support the family's reputation. Just when the two of them were worrying about the next county magistrate, a few yamen runners rushed over. When they saw the two of them, they wiped their sweat and said, "Deputy County Magistrate Zhang, Registrar Zhao, good news, good news." "What good news? Let's hear it." The deputy county magistrate looked at the cart and asked, "The Registrar General has good news." The Registrar General saw that the curved plow was not used well. Therefore, he made a slight improvement. He shortened the original plow arm and increased the degree of curvature. He also engraved patterns on the armrest. This way, it is more convenient to change the direction of the plow. The force of impact is less. Even if there is sand on the hands, there is no need to worry about the discomfort. The people all agree that this improvement will benefit them a lot when they are farming. Many people will increase their food supply because of this. The Yamen runner did not know how to practice. When he spoke, his face was full of respect, as if what he said was true. Zhang Mingxing and Zhao Xiang were stunned. They stood still and looked at the plow on the cart. It was as if they were in a dream. Zhang Mingxing was the first to react. He said to Zhao Xiang, "How is it?" Zhangjia Zhuangzi really did not forget about us. It's fine if we don't do anything, but if we do, it will be a political achievement. Quickly, go back and write a memorial and hand it to the higher-ups. Brother Ji Fong, with this political achievement, the position of County Magistrate of Sanshui County will be more secure. Quickly get promoted and don't block my way. Zhao Xiang was not the kind of person who did not want to be an official. Looking at the new plow on the cart, he knew without guessing that the Zhang family did not want another county magistrate. He was already annoyed. If he did not know what to do, he might as well find a rope and hang himself. He laughed and ran directly to the Yamen. After running for dozens of steps, he turned around and ran back. He said to the Yamen runner, "Bring this plow back. I have to draw it. Otherwise, how can I say that there are so many plows sent here? Is there still some with Zhou Shihu? Quickly send them back. It's spring plowing again." County Magistrate is right. There are some with young Master Zhou. I will arrange for someone to send it over. Sir, please. The Yamen runner was also very happy. He even changed the way he addressed Zhao Xiang. He carried a plow and ran back. The others took the plow from the cart and sent it to Zhou Shihu. "Don't call me that. It's not even close yet." Zhao Xiang was willing to listen to this title, but he still had to say it. "Sir, I am not speaking nonsense." This time, if you were not the county magistrate, the Zhang family would be angry. Last time, it was fine. This time, another person came. I think the Zhang family will directly take him away. Don't you know the ability of the Zhang family? The Yamen runner knew that the registrar official was just saying this, so he continued to flatter him. Back at the Yamen, Zhao Xiang took out the 4 treasures of the study. His hands trembled as he wanted to grind the ink, but he did not have the strength. Zhang Mingsheng had to take it. "Brother Ji Fong, don't be anxious. Sit down and rest. You can write when the ink is ready." Zhao Xiang took a few deep breaths. He was not as steady as usual. He also wanted to not be anxious. How could he not be anxious? He was going to be promoted soon. Who would not be anxious? Zhang Mingxing looked at Zhao Xiang and had a chat with him. "Brother Ji Fong, as long as you become the county magistrate, there will be money in the county's account. At that time, you have to be careful. Don't touch things that you shouldn't touch. The Zhang family can give us things and money, but we will not allow any corruption. Of course, the Yamen's money is for the people to work for. It is not for me. Even if I have the courage, I will not touch the money. Just look at County Magistrate Cheng. As long as you do well, the money given by the Zhang family will definitely be more than the money you embezzle." Zhao Xiang did not need Zhang Mingsheng to tell him what to do. In the past, he was not greedy for money. His life was ordinary. Now his life was better. The Zhang family sent things to him from time to time. It would be unreasonable for him to be greedy for the people's money. The two of them talked back and forth. Zhao Xiang felt much better. His hand was not as trembling as before when he picked up the brush. He drew the outline of the new plow and then took it apart. He also drew every part of the new plow. He was grateful to the Zhang family. If he did not take the credit, the Zhang family could also use it. After a while, Zhao Xiang finished writing about the new plow. He gave the credit for the improvement of the plow to himself. He was a little embarrassed, but he could not refuse. Chapter 293. What's the good news? Zhang Mingxing asked first. The two of them had not recovered from the bad news just now. And now there was another good news, which made them feel uncomfortable. That minister wrote a memorial and asked the officials to send it to the capital. He said that Sanshui County's registrar and county magistrate thought that the transportation in the county might be lacking. The river and canal can be expanded so that boats can travel to and from Banzhou to the capital. This move is beneficial for draining water when there is a flood, storing water when there is a drought, good for the health of the people, and good for increasing taxes. It is a great policy. The county magistrate should be able to protect the people and show the kindness of the imperial court. My lord, this river was built by you. Not only did you widen the river and clear the silt, but you also persuaded the local rich to set up small rest pavilions on both sides for people to rest. You also let the people buy and sell on both sides of the pavilions to increase their family's wealth. My lord, you are a good official who serves the country and the people. You did not spend a single cent of the imperial court's money. If you don't take the position of county magistrate, who else has the ability? Congratulations, my lord. The Yamen runner said, according to the contents of the memorial, and then began to congratulate him. Why is the minister speaking up for us all of a sudden? The credit of digging the river is also counted as mine? Zhao Xiang could not believe what he heard. He just felt better, but now he was trembling again. He understood that if he had another credit, the position of county magistrate would be stable. No one could take it away from him. Otherwise, where would he be arranged to be? He was also a registrar, and he was so familiar with Sanshui County. The position of county magistrate could only be him. Brother Ji Fong, calm down. Now you know how powerful the Zhang family is. They pushed Brother Ji Fong to the position with 2 hands. I did not expect that they still have the energy to take care of us when they are so busy. But how can the minister help us? He came here to play. Zhang Mingsheng was now sure that he was the registrar. He asked others to calm down, but when he spoke, his voice was trembling. The Yamen runner explained. The Zhang family said that no one can touch the silt dug out from the river. The minister has written a memorial to retire and return to his hometown. He is going to buy some wasteland here and keep the silt for the old registrar. I see. Zhang Mingsheng and Zhao Xiang understood. So much silt had been used to return the favor, but the silt did not belong to them. It belonged to the Zhang family. It seemed that the Zhang family had paid a price. That's great. Let's submit the 2 booklets together. Zhang Mingsheng smiled. Reporting. Good news, I have good news. Just as he finished speaking, another bailiff ran in and said to Zhao Xiang, County magistrate, I have good news. Again? Zhao Xiang stood up and supported himself with the back of the chair. He looked at the bailiff and waited for him to continue. Your Excellency, and the county magistrate felt that there were many commoners in the county who had nothing to do after the spring plowing. As such, they asked the Shang family to build 3 workshops so that the commoners could earn money during their free time. They also set up 3 workshops to teach the commoners survival skills. Your Excellency, quickly write the memorial. The Yamen runner winked and said. Zhao Xiang knew that there were 3 workshops and 3 schools, but weren't they built by the little prince? Why did he take the credit for this? Did the little prince agree to it? Zhang Mingsheng asked directly. Reporting to Your Excellency, the little prince seemed to be building a dock with the Zhang family recently. Unfortunately, the dock isn't here. Otherwise, the river here seems to be smaller. I think it's because of this. The Yamen runner changed the way he addressed Zhang Mingsheng and began to explain. If that's the case, what did the Zhang family use to exchange with the little prince again? Could it be that they were still worried after having those 2 hands and wanted to use a 3rd hand to settle this matter and stabilize their own promotion? Zhang Mingsheng said to Zhao Xiang. Zhao Xiang nodded. Sigh. The Zhang family really put in a lot of effort this time. They used 3 hands in a row. Let's see who else dares to take this position. Reporting. Your Excellency, good news, there's good news. Another bailiff ran in from outside. Zhang Mingsheng and Zhao Xiang felt numb at this time. They sat back in their chairs and waited. What was going to happen would happen. What was the Zhang family doing? They came one after another. Did they still think that the position of county magistrate was unstable? The bailiff who came in seemed to be in a hurry. He panted heavily and couldn't speak. Take a rest first. There's no hurry. Brother Anren, what do you think the master of the Zhang family plans to do? Zhao Xiang asked Zhang Mingsheng as he gestured for the bailiff to drink water. I don't know. That expert is amazing. He always does things one after another. How can we guess? If we can guess it, won't we also be experts? No wonder the little prince stayed there and didn't go home. He wants to learn something, Zhang Mingxing said with emotion. He was now full of admiration for the master of the Zhangjia Zhuangzi. After he finished talking with Zhao Xiang, he said to the bailiff who finished drinking water, "Tell me, what's the news? Your Excellency thinks that the river in Sanshui County is unstable due to the river being repaired. Therefore, they ordered people to build 40 boats in half a year to patrol the river and occasionally help to transport some overstocked goods. Such a good deed should be passed down by erecting a stone tablet at the Xiaoyuashui Pier. Your Excellency, congratulations. In the future, all the people who were saved and helped in the river will remember your kindness and pass it down from generation to generation." The bailiff told them the news about the establishment of the fleet. It's the fourth hand. What does the Zhang family want? Logically speaking, those two are enough. Why do they have to push it down? The two of them became excited again. Unlike the previous 3 pieces of news, if this matter was done well, the two of them would be able to show off in the future. Why don't we go and ask in person? At least we have to figure it out. This again and again will always make people think about it. Zhang Mingsheng suggested. Okay, it's good to ask. I can't figure it out either. I don't know which part of the chain is this. Zhao Xiang's face was full of yearning. He also wanted to go to Zhangjia Zhuangzi to be apprenticed to the master. Even if he could learn a little, he would be better than him now. This was called a method. It made people unable to guess the meaning even if they saw it. Reporting. Good news. Your Excellency, there's good news. It came again. No need to congratulate us. If there's any news, just say it. We know. One of us is the county magistrate, and the other is the head of the government. We can't run away. Zhang Mingsheng didn't want to hear any congratulatory words and let the bailiff say it directly. The bailiff was stunned for a moment. When he saw the other bailiffs in the room who hadn't left, he said with a smile, "In order to educate the people, the two of you and the head of the government have specially set up an academy in Tuqiao village. You have also asked Master Bai, who wants to retire to be an official, to preside over everything and raise money for the construction of the academy. This will allow the people in the county who want to study to be educated and also allow the outsiders to learn the way of the sage." The two of them who had been shocked by the news again and again thought that they wouldn't be so excited this time. However, they couldn't control themselves and stood up from the chair again. Their bodies couldn't stop trembling. Building an academy? How much would the status of Sanshui County rise in the future? The Zhang family was able to invite the head of the government to take care of this matter. It was a matter of the scholars. With an academy, it could be said that the common people would be educated. This credit was too big. It was so big that it was frightening. Okay, you can all leave. I will discuss it with the head of the government. Zhang Mingsheng didn't dare to continue waiting like this. He asked them to leave. He wanted to have a good discussion with Zhao Xiang. However, Zhangjia Zhuangzi didn't seem to want to give him the chance. There was another reporting. "My lord, good news. Congratulations, my lord. In order to show the prosperity of our country, you have specially allowed some merchants to unite. You want to cover the supermarket where everything in the world can be bought and sold. Only in this market, you can buy and sell many things that are not commonly seen in the local area. My lord's public virtue is boundless." The Yamen runner was quick to talk and told them about this matter. Zhang Mingsheng and Zhao Xiang looked at each other. What supermarket? What was it for? Which merchants were involved? What kind of goods were they buying and selling? The two of them didn't know at all. The only thing they knew was that this matter was caused by the Zhang family. What did the Zhang family want to achieve? It was enough. Not to mention a county. Even if it was given to a state, these achievements would be enough to get people promoted. Moreover, it was the kind of promotion that could be given to several people at once. Brother Ji Fong, why do I feel like I'm having some misgivings in my heart? That expert always sends people to tell us his plans. What should we do this time? No, I'm going to go to Zhangjia Zhuangzi to ask now. It's too uncomfortable to keep it in my heart like this. Zhang Mingsheng felt that there was no part of his body that wasn't numb. Even his tongue couldn't work. His eyes were in a trance. Zhao Xiang wasn't much better than him. He nodded and said, "I'll go with you. But I feel that this matter isn't over yet. There should be more. Quick, let's go out and have a look." "No need. I heard the sound of horse hooves." Zhang Mingxing said. Sure enough, there was another shout from the other side. Reporting, my lord, good news, really good news. The person ran and shouted. As soon as he came in, Zhang Mingxing and Zhao Xiang said together, Congratulations, my lord. My lord, congratulations. My lord, thank the people of the county. What's next? Ah, how did you know that I was going to say this? Could it be that the two of you can predict? The Yamen runner was confused. He hadn't said anything yet. How did they know? When the surrounding Yamen runners heard the words of the two who were about to be promoted, they all laughed at the same time. The Yamen runner who came to report the news didn't know what to do. He touched his face and scratched his head. He felt that there was something wrong with him that made others laugh. My lord, you two already know? The Yamen runner asked tentatively in a low voice. We don't know shit. Tell me, what good thing did Registrar Zhao and I do this time? Zhang Mingxing asked. He felt that the things he encountered today were more than all the things he had encountered in the past. It was also puzzling. Chapter 294. The runner heard Zhang Mingxing's words and said, The Zhang family said that you must have doubts in your heart. You don't know why the Zhang family has pushed you so many times, so you are anxious to ask. The Zhang family said that you don't need to wait. You will know what they mean when you hear the last piece of news. The Zhang family said that some of the seeds can be brought to the Zhang family first. The Zhang family will be responsible for planting the seedlings. When the time comes, the seedlings will be distributed to various parts of the county. Based on the Zhang family's farmstead's direct planting of the seedlings last year, it should be able to increase the yield by 10%. Sirs, this humble one has finished speaking. Hiss. When Zhang Mingxing and Zhao Xiang heard the last piece of news, they couldn't help but gasp. Increase the output by 10%? As long as they got the seeds to the Zhang family and planted the seedlings according to their method. 10% of the output. How much was the whole county? But why did they say that they knew what the Zhang family wanted to do when they heard the news? What was so different about this news? Counting from the head count, the Zhang family had already pushed them 7 times. Including the current one, it was exactly 8 times. Why? What did 8 times have to do with the purpose? The two fell into deep thought. Their thoughts were basically the same. The first thing was to push them to the position. This was already enough. If the two of them didn't insist on staying in Sanshui County, they could directly push them to the capital and become officials of the capital. When they first entered, it seemed that they could only be 7th-rank officials, unless the emperor summoned them alone and they could mention it. Of course, they couldn't go. There were still many things to do here. When they heard the last piece of news, they understood why they pushed them so many times. They even knew that the two of them would go to Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Sure enough, they didn't let anything go wrong. It seemed that they knew their every move. While the two of them were thinking about it, the runners were also thinking about it. This time, they were completely relieved. No one could push the two of them down. If they occupied that position, Sanshui County would be better in the future. They wanted to say something to their colleagues, but they saw that the two of them were silent, so they also waited. I know. It's too scary. The Zhang family. The Zhang family, they wanted... Brother and Ran, can you hurry up and say what you want? What does the Zhang family want? Before Zhao Xiang could figure it out, he heard Zhang Mingxing's exclamation and urged him on. Zhang Mingxing opened his eyes to the maximum and looked in front of him. His mouth was open, and there was an expression on his face that could not be described as either surprised or frightened. Zhao Xiang reached out and pushed him. Brother and Ran, are you trying to suffocate me to death? Tell me quickly. Brother Ji Fong, you see, there are business matters, agriculture matters, industry matters, official matters, as well as matters of merit and virtue. If you count them all, we have officials, agriculture, industry, and education. Moreover, none of them are simple. You see, Brother Ji Fong, we have business matters, agriculture matters, industry matters, and education matters, and none of them are simple. What do you think Sanshui County was like? What do you think Sanshui County is like now? Also, this river has become an important road. In the future, there will be a lot of people coming and going, right? Zhang Mingxing explained to Zhao Xiang one by one and finally summed it up. Zhao Xiang nodded. He also knew that these matters included various aspects, but it had nothing to do with Zhang Jia Zhuangzi's plan. He looked at Zhang Mingxing in confusion and said, I understand. In the future, Sanshui County will not be comparable to the original one. Although we are a middle county, we are better than some upper counties, especially when many people come from other places to settle down in our Sanshui County, as long as the number of people is a little more. Then we can report to the higher-ups and let this place become the Zhang family. It turns out that not only do they want to promote us, but they also want to promote the whole county from a middle county to an upper county. They want to promote 8 hands, including officials, agriculture, industry, and education. So it turns out that they want to promote the county. What a big plan. When the time comes, I won't be a lower 7th grade official. I will be upper 7th grade official, and you will be lower 7th grade official. Maybe with more people, I will be lower 6th grade official, and you will be upper 7th grade official. It's crazy. Either we are crazy, or the Zhang family is crazy. Using the power of Zhuangzi to promote the county to an upper county, 8 hands in a row, this is the first time I've heard of this in my life. It's also the first time I've seen it. Which Zhuangzi has this kind of plan? Which Zhuangzi has this kind of ability? Zhangjia Zhuangzi can and dare to. He is the best Zhuangzi in the world. When he said these words, Zhao Xiang's hands were already cramping. He wanted to clench his fists, but he couldn't. He wanted to open his hands, but he couldn't. His eyes were also wide open. Zhang Mingxing's hands trembled as he picked up the teacup on the table. He wanted to drink a mouthful of water, but the edge of the teacup hit his teeth. No matter what, he couldn't drink it. He just held it and said, honestly, using the power of a Zhuangzi to promote a county, this is unheard of. If they were given a county, wouldn't they dare to promote a province? If they were given a province, would they promote a country? Someone, come here and feed me some water. After saying so much, Zhang Mingxing still couldn't drink any water. He shouted at the bailiffs. No bailiff came over. They were also trembling. It was too scary. Zhangjia Zhuangzi actually had this kind of plan. If they didn't hear it clearly and saw it with their own eyes, they would definitely slap the person who told them this. It was just like a dream. Sir, I can't go over. Sir, are you telling the truth? Our Sanshui County is going to become an upper county? A bailiff wanted to go over and feed the deputy district magistrate, but he found that he couldn't walk over. His legs were cramping. He used his hand to support himself on the wall to prevent himself from collapsing. He had a reason to do so. If it was an upper county, the bailiffs would be different from the middle county. Their monthly salary would be higher, and their equipment would be different from the previous ones. Previously, they were allowed to use knives, but in fact, it was already a violation. They used hunting bows. If it was an upper county, they could directly equip themselves with bows. They were not allowed to use them during normal times, but they could use them during critical times. What's up to them? Even if the county had to pay for it, the Zhang family would take care of it. For example, the most powerful counties, Chang and Wanyin, could even equip themselves with crossbows. Although they were not as good as military crossbows, crossbows were still crossbows. It was already good enough for the bailiffs in the lower county to have a water and fire rod. In the future, it would be more awe-inspiring when they go out. They wouldn't have to be afraid when they encounter something. They wouldn't have to carry knives around in the middle county. They wouldn't have to worry about being questioned when they go out. If they were in the upper county, they could ride a good horse and walk around with knives. What could they do? Zhang Mingxing could understand the feelings of the bailiffs. He sighed and stopped drinking. Trembling, he put the teacup back down. He sat there and panted heavily, waiting for the trembling to subside. He would be fine once the trembling subsided. His trembling body did not affect his speech much, but his voice was a little shaky. Since he couldn't move, he could only chat. Brother Ji Fong, how is it? Are you convinced? In the future, Sanshui County will be more stable. The bailiffs will be able to use good bows. When the time comes, I don't know if the higher-ups will give them to us. After all, our bailiffs are a little overstaffed. It's good enough that they don't investigate. It seems that we still have to wait for Zhangjia Zhuangzi to do it. The Zhang family's continuous actions will cost a lot of money. Zhang Mingxing said to Zhao Xiang. He was also happy. His position was promoted, and his rank was also promoted. As long as Zhangjia Zhuangzi could do it, it would be easy for him to become an upper county. Every year, he would have to pay taxes and hand in food. Who would dare to be unconvinced? Yes, there are so many things. The higher-ups will not give them. If they give them out, will they rebel? But we didn't do anything wrong. When we recruited bailiffs, we did it for this step, right? There are 40 boats patrolling in the water. Each boat has 10 people, which means there are 400 people. There are not enough people patrolling in the county. 5 people is still 200 people. When we forced Jiashan to recruit bailiffs, we only knew that the Zhang family would not leave so many people idle. But we never expected that the Zhang family had considered this point at that time. Their plan was too big and too far, but it was so thorough. Not only did they spend the last bit of money in the Yaman's account to restrain Jiashan, but they also made arrangements for today's events. What an expert! I finally understand what it means to be intertwined. The Zhang family never makes mistakes for no reason. They even had such considerations when roping in the little duke to build Shueyun Club. Money, it was all about money and also reputation. Since the invention of the curved plow last year, he had been pushing it all the way. Little by little, he had finally pushed Zhongxian to Shangxian and controlled the entire Sanshui County in his hands. Yes, he had even pushed Zhang Zhong from a small family to the capital. I think Zhang Zhong must be one of the top 3. I understand now. Those who are useful to them, they will push them away. Those who are not obedient, they will push them away. They will push you until your heart is blooming with joy. They will press you until you are heartbroken. Fortunately, we are obedient. Otherwise, you will be beaten to death by your mother. I know. Zhang Mingxing didn't wait for Zhao Xiang to finish his sentence. You won't be able to get better. Zhao Xiang said, unconvinced. You are the most rigid one. As a chief clerk, you can't get along well with others. You're the most dangerous one. Fortunately, you spoke up for the Zhang family. I'm not. If the Zhang family treats me better, I am willing to listen to them. What kind of position is a deputy county magistrate? He doesn't have that ability. Zhang Mingxing mentioned what happened in the past. At that time, when they met the higher-ups, Zhao Xiang didn't speak up for the Zhang family. Instead, he spoke ill of them. What would happen to Zhao Xiang now? It was not easy for a rigid person to lie for them. It was really lucky. Zhao Xiang also thought of what happened at that time. He said, what do you know? I am afraid that Zhangjia Zhuangzi will be angry and kill the cucumber sprout. My mother wants to eat it. I am doing this for my mother. I am also obedient. I listen to the Zhang family. They are very good to me. When my little sister is sick, they send ginseng to my little sister for her to use. They also give her a lot of delicious food. If anyone dares not to listen to the Zhang family, I will fall out with that person. The Yamen runner who was holding the wall also said. Chapter 295. Spring is full. The plum blossoms fall. The apricot blossoms bloom. The moon shines on people. Love is always there. Half a month has passed since Zhang Mingxing and Zhao Xiang reported the 8 matters. The river is completely connected. Some people are still there to clear the silt, and some people are left to build the embankment. Most of the craftsmen who could be used are hired by Li Sun to build the restaurant. Bai Go is still alive. He bought a piece of wasteland north of Zhuangzi. The higher-ups have agreed to his resignation, and they are arguing for a new minister. Most of the silt had been dragged to his wasteland. Once the spring plowing was done, he would quickly get someone to dig it up. He had yet to find a farmer. The new home that Zhang Xiaobao had built for him occupied a medium-sized field. No one pursued this matter, and no one reported it. The 4 Zhuangzi family's spring plowing speed was faster than other Zhuangzi. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Zhuangzi were naturally the fastest. Li Sun complained to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan more than once that they knew the new plow was better, but they still said that they wanted to try it first. As a result, their speed was faster than the new plow. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan tried to avoid this topic. They talked about the workshop, the docks, and the things in the workshop. The Zhang family prepared a large number of tents for the farmers to live in. While the people digging the river were idle, they built houses for the farmers. According to the original agreement, the houses were two-story buildings. In this way, the farmers could help to build the academy after the spring plowing, and then build the two Zhuangzi to the appearance on Wang Wan's blueprint. It seems that those people can't be found for a while. I raised 100,000 strings of coins to build the docks. Xiao Bao, you have to do it well. Don't lie to me anymore. Li Sun couldn't sleep in the middle of the night, thinking about the restaurant between the clouds and the water. He got up and walked around, and then found Zhang Xiaobao's place. Zhang Xiaobao and Zhao Xiang were studying. When they saw Li Sun coming, they had to stop and walk outside together. Don't worry, we won't cheat our own business. You can use the money to help us first. My family is going to build a supermarket with the money from Little Luo Shui. After the imperial examination, Sanshui County must become Shan County. Zhang Xiaobao agreed, and at the same time, he made a request. Otherwise, it would take a few months. With Li Sun's help, it would be much faster. His father also. Li Sun did not think that this matter was difficult to handle. Definitely, Xiaobao, I don't understand why your family is in such a hurry to move Sanshui County to Shan County. I have to do all these things at the same time. Fortunately, there are some people who are willing to invest. Tell me, what is your family's plan? Li Sun really wanted to know. The matter of the Zhang family's manor, pushing 8 hands in a row to turn Zhongxian into Shangxian, allowed him to see the ability of the person behind the scenes. Even his father wrote a letter of praise and said that the Zhang family's manor was the #1 manor in the world. He asked him to find a way to get closer to Zhangjia Zhuangzi. He said that many people knew about this matter. Maybe people around Zhangjia Zhuangzi would move over. The reason was the same as his. Therefore, Li Sun didn't think that the Zhang family emphasized several times that they would settle this matter after the imperial examination. There must be a deeper meaning. Those who understood the situation and were a little bit smarter didn't dare to think that what the Zhang family did was too simple. Buddha said not to say. Zhang Xiaobao did have a plan, but he couldn't tell others. Even Wang Wan didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was thinking. Hearing Li Sun's question, Zhang Xiaobao looked up at the moon and replied. Li Sun curled his lips and said, "What Buddha said? Now they are dismantling the Miao and returning to the secular world. Buddha is so powerful. How can it be dismantled? The moon is full and the moon is waxing and waning. I don't know if there is a Buddha, but Buddhism is a good philosophy. You won't understand even if I tell you. Don't be depressed because of a failure, and don't be arrogant because of a moment of happiness." Zhang Xiaobao finally decided to teach Li Sun well. He couldn't just ask for help without paying. Li Sun's family didn't teach him these things. They just wanted him to be a carefree marquis and a carefree prince in the future. If he knew too much, his heart would be too big, and it would easily attract trouble. He didn't have much contact with it. Now that he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, he thought that it was taught by an expert. He turned to Wang Wan and asked, "Why do I feel a little uncomfortable when Xiaobao said this? Is it like this? If it is, then it is. If it isn't, then it isn't. Who can clearly say what is right and what is wrong? Everything has its own way, but it is like a dream, an illusion, a bubble. Like fog, like lightning. You should observe it like this." Wang Wan also understood Zhang Xiaobao's meaning and also taught him. Li Sun had never heard of this before. The great Tang didn't have it yet. After hearing it, he felt even more confused. Can you say it in another way? Good. The Tao can be said, but it is not the Tao. The name can be named, but it is not the name. The nameless world. I know. You don't need to say anymore. I'll recite the rest. Xiao Bao's meaning is that one shouldn't be happy when encountering good things, but shouldn't be sad when encountering bad things, right? Li Sun didn't let Wang Wan continue. This kind of thing was just like the rest of the words, mysterious and wonderful. Wang Wan shook her head. Why can't one be happy when encountering good things? Humans have 7 emotions and 6 desires in life. They must know how to enjoy life. When they should cry, they should cry. When they should laugh, they should laugh. When they should laugh, they should cry. If they don't have anything, are they still human? Xiaobao, what do you say? Li Sun heard that the two people had different opinions, so he asked Zhang Xiaobao. A capable person must always remember that happiness is followed by sorrow. He must also have the willpower to remain calm even if Mount Tai collapses in front of him. Fortune is where misfortune lies, and misfortune is where fortune lies, Zhang Xiaobao replied. Cuckoo, what do you say? Li Sun asked again. When the false becomes the truth becomes false. Who knows what will happen in the future? We can only enjoy the present to the fullest. Wang Wan said to Li Sun. Xiaobao, it's your turn. Li Sun looked at Zhang Xiaobao. If one doesn't think about the future, there will be immediate worries. Cuckoo, if you always think about the future, you will neglect the present. Why don't you, Xiaobao? Li Sun followed the two of them out for a stroll in the middle of the night. Hearing the two of them say completely opposite words, she didn't know how to choose. It seemed that what they said was right, but why were they opposing each other? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan deliberately did this. In fact, real life was very simple. The daily necessities contained the philosophy of heaven and earth. The two of them wanted Li Sun to find what he should have in this contradiction and not listen to others. Li Sun didn't know the two's good intentions. He listened and felt that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan seemed to be full of talent. How could they teach this? It seemed that he had to work hard to learn. The three of them walked and walked until they reached the place where the houses were built. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan asked the workers to build the houses in a more unique way. They didn't want them to be so neat, and they had to be well arranged. In the future, there would be corridors and small canals here. An almond tree that had already bloomed swayed gently in the evening wind, and the faint fragrance of flowers could be smelled. The villagers lived in tents, and from time to time, there would be people walking by. Not only did the footsteps not wake the people in the tents, but they also made them sleep more soundly. Li Sun and Zhang Xiaobao stood under the tree and looked at the people walking by. They said, "Are these people from your family's inner courtyard? Are they keeping vigil?" "Yes, keeping vigil. We can't let the villagers keep vigil by themselves. We still have things to do tomorrow." Zhang Xiaobao knew what Li Sun wanted to say. Wasn't it just that the main family did this differently from the other Zhuangzi? In his mind, there was only the reasonable use of manpower, and he didn't care about whether someone's identity should be doing what they should do. Yes, that's right. If the villagers can sleep well, I'll do the same later. Xiaobao, I still don't understand. When your father changes places, your family will naturally move as well. Although the Zhuangzi here will still belong to your family. What does Sanshui County have to do with your family? Li Sun often asked when he couldn't solve the doubts in his heart. This was the 5th time he asked. We'll know when the time comes. Zhang Xiaobao still had the same expression. He wouldn't say, he definitely wouldn't say. Well, I'll wait. Xiaobao, I've written the letter. When the time comes, your father will definitely be in the top 3. As for whether or not he will be in the top 3, I'm not sure. If he isn't, don't blame me. Li Sun suddenly remembered Zhang Zhong's matter. There was only half a month left before the examination. He was also not sure if he was in the top 3. Zhang Xiaobao was full of confidence. He said, "It doesn't matter. As long as you write the letter, there won't be too much of a difference. There are other people working hard to help. Let's go over there and take a look. The child is crying at night. If it doesn't work, we'll find a doctor." While Zhang Xiaobao was talking, he heard the sound of a baby crying from one of the tents. It was very loud and penetrating. There was no need to worry about the baby crying. Zhang Xiaobao knew some ways to deal with it. In the past, he had a younger brother and sister like this. He led Wang Wan and Li Sun to the tents. Chapter 296. Zhang Zhong really wanted to write a poem about the beautiful spring scenery, but when he looked at the peach blossoms reflected by the lights in the water, he felt a little sour in his nose. He rubbed his eyes with his hands and muttered, "A cup of wine in a river. The bright moon in the sky is far away from home." Out of the door, the plum blossoms compete in the spring. The branches shine in the night, and the peach blossoms are beautiful. Across the bridge, the father returns to Yin. strategizing between the clouds and the water, bribing the officials, not sparing any expense. After the provincial capital, there is Chang'an. After Zhang Zhong finished reciting this impromptu poem, he raised his sleeve and rubbed the corner of his eyes. Without saying a word, he poured himself a cup of wine and slowly drank there. The other scholars who came with him did not know why Zhang Zhong wrote such a sad poem about such a beautiful scenery. Only County Magistrate Cheng could understand Zhang Zhong's thoughts. Zhang Xiaobao had arranged everything. He had money and people. From the moment Zhang Zhong left home, he did not suffer any grievances. These days, he arranged countless places. Except for the imperial palace, there was no place that he could not enter. For example, this crooked river pond. Was it a place that ordinary people could enter? For example, the hibiscus garden. Was it his own home? However, Zhang Zhong could enter. Moreover, he brought some officials or students who were also going to take the exam. How much effort did he put in? In addition to the care of the minister and the little prince, just the dried wood ears and white fungus were sent over in large bags. All kinds of fresh vegetables and soil were shipped over at the fastest speed. Countless money was thrown in, and countless things were given out. For this matter, the two best restaurants gave many officials free cards. As long as they ate there, they would not have to spend money. Not to mention other things, just the money that flowed out from his hands was more than 26,000 strings of coins. Every small matter would give a big gift. As long as it was a 6th-ranked official or above, he would not miss out on any. That was only one aspect of it. There were also those shops. In total, there were close to 30 of them. No matter what they sold, he didn't remember much. However, he remembered clearly the mansions of some of the officials. As long as he saw people from those mansions come out to buy things, they would either give them money or not. Even the servants had to give him some benefits. That was how Zhang Zhong was able to get so much information, allowing him to live like a fish in water in Chang'an. Behind all this, there was Zhang Xiaobao. Even if there were people guiding him when he was doing it, he was still a child after all. He had to be busy, and it was not easy to be a messenger. Other children might not be able to remember these things, but Zhang Xiaobao had to memorize them first before making arrangements. He had never heard of that expert handling anything personally. Zhang Zhong thought more than County Magistrate Cheng. County Magistrate Cheng only thought that Zhang Xiaobao was a little tired. However, Zhang Zhong's father knew that his good son not only had to take care of money, but also think of ways to exchange benefits with others. Furthermore, he had to take care of the family. Xiao Bao had always been reluctant to let Xiao overwork herself. The letters that were written never mentioned any difficulties at home. However, the more it was like this, the more it showed that there was a lot of trouble at home. Those who came from Huaiyuan County to take the exam would also write letters to home. He should go and ask. Otherwise, he would not know what difficulties his family was facing. Good poem. Brother Yongcheng can come up with such a good poem, even on the spot. You are indeed a talent that can be spread around the surrounding prefectures. I think Brother Yongcheng will definitely win the exam this time. A person next to him first applauded, and the others followed suit. Only Zhang Zhong knew that what he wrote was far from the mark. However, that was what reputation was all about. Listening to the applause of others, Zhang Zhong came to a person with a cup of wine and said, "Brother Qiyun, have you received any letters from your family?" "What did they say?" "I haven't received any letters from my family yet." This person was called Guan Feng, Guan Qiyun. He was from Huaiyuan County. His family was quite rich. He received a letter yesterday. Zhang Zhong knew about this, so he came to ask. Many people did not know about Zhang Zhong's identity. They only knew that he was talented and lived in Sanshui County. When Guan Feng heard Zhang Zhong's question, he immediately thought of his family's situation. He said to Zhang Zhong, "Brother Yongcheng, you are too polite. In fact, there is nothing serious in my family. However, it is not entirely true that there is nothing serious. There is a Zhangjia Zhuangzi in Sanshui County. Brother Yongcheng is also surnamed Zhang. I don't know if you are related to the Zhang family. Let's not talk about this first. There are two powerful Zhuangzi in the county. They are the Han family and the Yuan family. However, they offended a marquis and were arrested. Their family sold the Zhuangzi. Guess who they sold the Zhuangzi to? They sold the Zhuangzi to Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Zhangjia Zhuangzi is really rich. He took out 50,000 strings of coins at once. The Zhang family is even more powerful than before. However, there are still people who are not afraid of them. The Chun family, which used to be next to the Yuan family, is the head of the family who is in the cloth business. When the Zhang family took over Zhuangzi, it was just in time for the spring plowing when the Chun family cut off the water supply. The river flows from the Chun family. Not only did they cut off the water supply, but they also cut off the road leading to the river and planted thorns. I heard that many people have been taken advantage of by the Zhang family, but the Qin family still dared to do this. They are really bold. What? Cut off the water supply? Then how can the spring plowing in Zhuangzi continue? Zhang Zhong's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He immediately thought of the consequences of this matter. Without water, they could not plow the land. What would happen to Xiao Bao and Xiaoer? They must be very worried. Where would they get water? Guanfeng deliberately paused for a moment. He picked up his bowl and took a sip of wine. Then he picked up a piece of cucumber and garlic and looked at the eager eyes of the people around him before he said, I heard that the Zhang family's housekeeper went to look for them twice in a row. In the end, the Chun family made things difficult for him both times. They said that it was useless. The Chun family even mocked the Zhang family, saying that they did not dare to have anything to do with them. Guess what happened after that? What happened? A few people who like to hear about this kind of thing asked in unison. Zhang Zhong did not ask. He was already clenching his fists. He was thinking that after he passed the exam, he would definitely let the Chun family know how powerful they were. He would not let them off so easily for bullying Xiao and Xiao Bao while the head of the family was not at home. After that, those who wanted to watch the show once again witnessed the power of the Zhang family. The Chun family cut off the water supply in their area, and the Zhang family changed the most critical part of the river. The next morning, after the Chun family finished planting the thorns, the Zhang family set up everything in a single night. The Chun family was dumbfounded this time, and they went to beg the Zhang family's housekeeper again. What karma? Oh, you might not know what happened to the river over there. Let me tell you that river. Guanfeng spoke excitedly as if he was a member of the Zhang family. He also introduced the terrain of the area to those who did not know the situation. Zhang Zhong did not need to listen to this introduction. How could he not know where his family was? He was angry and worried just now, but now he smiled. He knew that this must be the work of his son, Xiao Bao. Other than Xiao Bao, there was no other person who could do things this way. Zhang Zhong could not help but laugh when he thought of the Chun family's reaction when there was no water. County Magistrate Chung came over and said to Zhang Zhong, Brother Yongcheng, don't worry about your family. Do you think your family is afraid of this kind of thing? It's just Zhuangzi from the Qin family. It's too easy to deal with them. Yes, County Magistrate Chung is right. Zhuangzi is quite safe. Did County Magistrate Chung receive a letter from Sanshui County? I received one the day before yesterday. It didn't say anything except that the flowers had bloomed and the farmers were working fast. Zhang Zhong did not expect to receive a letter from his family that he needed to think about. If he wanted to know, he could only ask someone else. County Magistrate Cheng hesitated for a moment and said, Well, to be honest, I did receive a letter. If Brother Yongcheng wants to know, I will tell you, but you must not miss the important matter. Otherwise, it will be difficult for me. Tell me. Let's see what it is. Zhang Zhong was not so worried now. He just felt sorry for his son. The Zhang family's business was very big. His son and daughter-in-law had to manage people, settle accounts, and study at the same time. There were also one or two troublemakers. They were busy from morning to night. They were still children. When County Magistrate Chung was about to speak, he suddenly trembled. He took a deep breath and said to Zhang Zhong, I can tell you, but you can't get too excited. This time, your family is determined to arrange people for the county magistrate of Sanshui County. They gave a new plow, the expansion of the river, the construction of the workshop, all these benefits to Zhang Mingsheng and Zhao Xiang there. County Magistrate Chung said those things one by one. As he spoke, he drank and was afraid that he could not control his trembling. Zhang Zhong was also stunned. He did not expect that Xiao Bao had done so many things after leaving home for such a long time. However, he did not understand and asked, "What do they want to do?" Yes, Zhang Mingsheng and Zhao Xiang also thought of this. What does the Zhang family want to do? The result is, your family not only wants to promote them, but also wants to change Sanshui County from Zhongxian to Shan County. This big thing has been reported. I think it will not take long before Sanshui County becomes a Shan County. As long as County Magistrate Chung thought of this, he could not control himself. He held the chopsticks tightly in his hand. Zhang Zhong was also excited. He did not expect his son to be so capable. He could not tell what he was feeling. Zhangjia Zhuangzi was famous now. In this big world, which Zhuangzi could promote a county, his Zhangjia Zhuangzi could. His precious son had this ability. Perhaps he was used to his son's power, so Zhang Zhong did not tremble. He just stood there and laughed. He thought about how his manor would be in a county in the future. He did not know that he could no longer return to Sanshui County to be an official. Chapter 297. Zhang Xiaobao naturally didn't know that his father was also thinking about him. He, Wang Wan, and Li Sun went to the tent where the child was crying and said, "Can we take a look?" The sudden voice made the child stop crying. After a few breaths, the crying sounded again, louder than before. The farmer inside didn't know who was talking outside, but he knew that there were people patrolling outside, so it couldn't be bad people. He opened the tent and looked up, then immediately greeted, "So it's the young master and young lady. You came so late, come in and rest." After all, Zhang Xiaobao's identity was different, so the farmers were very respectful when they saw him. The three of them entered the tent one after another. Zhang Xiaobao sniffed and found that there was no unpleasant smell. There was a brazier lit with smokeless charcoal, so it wasn't cold either. The child was placed on a thick cushion. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan both remembered that the child was only 9 months old, and he was crying with his mouth open. The man at home had a helpless expression. "Come, Xiaobao baby, let me hold you. Tell me, why are you crying?" Wang Wan went over first and stretched out 2 hands, preparing to put one hand on the child's back and the other hand on the child's leg. Zhang Xiaobao quickly pulled Wang Wan away. "You can't hold a child like this. The child's waist is soft, and this will make him cry even more. Watch me." As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao half knelt on the ground. His right hand passed under the child's arm and placed under the child's armpit. His left hand arched and supported the child's buttocks. He placed the child on his lap and said to Li Sun, "Go outside and get a lantern." Li Sun didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was going to do, so he turned and went out. He called a patrolling person and asked for a lantern, then returned to the tent. "Hold it above the child's head. Cuckoo, come over and sit with me. Tilt your body slightly outward. We'll block his back together and use our bodies to block the places he can see from the corner of his eyes." Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun, then arranged for Cuckoo. Wang Wan curiously followed Zhang Xiaobao's instructions. "You two sit next to me and Cuckoo, not on both sides but in front. Make space for one person on both sides of the child. You two block there, but don't worry about the front of the child's eyes." Zhang Xiaobao continued to instruct the couple. The two of them sat in the wrong place at first, but they quickly corrected themselves. If it were anyone else doing this, they would have been angry. But when the young master of the main family carried their son, they felt happy instead. After the arrangements were made, the crying child suddenly stopped crying. Her mouth was slightly open, and she allowed her saliva to flow out. Blinking her big eyes, she looked in front of her, then turned her head to look around. She giggled and placed her 2 small hands on one of Zhang Xiaobao's arms and the other on his chest. "Xiaobao, why did he stop crying? I thought he was crying because he peed or pooped, or because he was hungry. What's wrong with you?" Wang Wan felt that this was too strange, so she asked Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao put his head next to the child's head, gently nudged it, and kissed the child. The child laughed even louder and tilted his head to nudge Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao moved closer and nudged him. The child laughed and tilted his head to Wang Wan again. This time, Zhang Xiaobao explained, in fact, it's very simple. Just like in our Zhuangzi, there are people on night watch and patrol. Everyone knows that there are people around to protect them, so they can sleep soundly. It's the same principle to arrange people to patrol here. Adults know that they will think of ways to hint to themselves, but children don't. As long as they find that their living environment has changed and the temperature has changed, they will feel uncomfortable, or more accurately, fear. Especially when there are no more people around them and no bright lights, they will cry to seek what they want. The position we are in is just enough to block the child's left, right, and back. He knows that there are people around, but he doesn't need to be in front. If we narrow his field of vision, he will feel that he can deal with the threat from the front. This is an instinct. If there are only one person in the house, then we have to put a thick cushion in the corner and let the child's back lean against the cushion. Then we have to pull up 2 pieces of cloth or curtains that can block the child's view. The child can see the front and lean against the back. With the light on, he won't cry unless he is hungry or needs to pee. After Zhang Xiaobao finished mouthing these words to Wang Wan, he kissed the child, and the child also laughed. Wang Wan had never heard of such a thing. After thinking for a while, she said, "Then why do children stop crying when they are breastfed?" The reason why children stop crying is not because they are hungry and can drink milk, but because of the mother's body temperature and the mother's embrace. Many children don't drink milk at that time. They just want a kind of warmth and a feeling of being protected. If the child is not too afraid of emptiness, as long as he is in the arms and kisses, he will feel that he is not lonely, and the child will stop crying. But sometimes just hugging is not enough. We have to create a big atmosphere, just like now. Li Sun is standing there. We may not be able to see it, but the child can feel it. It is very magical. When people grow up, they will hide this instinct or deliberately change it. Zhang Xiaobao was very experienced in this aspect. After he became famous, he specially studied it just to make the children in the orphanage better. Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao say, so mysteriously. She shivered and said, "That is to say, the adults are not like this? But why do the adults feel empty?" That shows that the sixth sense is inherited from the genes. The oldest primitive people will not deliberately change this feeling, so they have a unique perception of danger. We have to cultivate this feeling again after we grow up. Isn't it a bit sad? Why are the children willing to play in the passage we make with straw? Why do adults like to decorate their own homes? This is because they can't eliminate the information from the genes. They want to protect themselves and hide themselves. Think about it carefully. We always hope that there is a high wall behind us in an empty place. If you still don't understand, look at animals. For example, when a dog is raised in a house, as long as the temperature drops and there are fewer people in the house, it will run to the corner of the wall and stay there, so that the surrounding scene can be seen in its own vision. When Zhang Xiaobao was talking, he had been using his left hand to cover the baby's navel. He mouthed a few words to Wang Wan. The baby closed his eyes and fell asleep. One hand on Zhang Xiaobao's left hand, the other hand clenched into a small fist. Wang Wan looked at the baby and then looked at Zhang Xiaobao. She felt very strange. It was so simple, but the baby stopped crying. It turned out that loneliness and not being able to control were the most difficult things to bear. The parents of the 2 children saw that the children were asleep, so they were relieved. When they heard the children cry, but couldn't do anything, they were worried. Little young master is amazing. The master is the master, and we farmers can't compare to him. The child's father looked at his son, who was sleeping soundly, and praised him. Zhang Xiaobao carefully handed the child to the child's mother and said, "Sleep with the child tonight." Zhang Xiaobao was a little tired. When he held the child just now, his whole body was relaxed. That way, the child would be comfortable. He was still young. When he held the child, he started from the age of 5. Under the grateful eyes of the couple, the 3 people walked out of the tent. Li Sun was still holding the lantern in his hand. He shook it and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "You are amazing. The child stopped crying when he was in your hands. What kind of ability is this? I will learn in the future. This is everyone's credit. When you have a child and cry, come to me. I will teach you." Zhang Xiaobao felt that he could come up with a teaching material on baby care. Otherwise, If the villagers saw that he and Wang Wan were easy to follow, how could they learn? He and Wang Wan could feel what was happening to their bodies. They could adjust and exercise reasonably. Other children couldn't. What did they know? The reason for the high mortality rate of children here was that they didn't take good care of themselves. There was no systematic discipline. Even if the children didn't know how to speak, their every move was actually to express their thoughts. Wang Wan walked next to them and thought about what had just happened. She said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Do you have something to do? Otherwise, why did you tell me so much? I don't understand." "It's nothing. It's just nonsense. Don't take it to heart." Zhang Xiaobao replied very naturally. "It's nothing? People like you have to be watched carefully. If others say it's nothing, I will believe them. You, hurry up and tell me, what are you going to do?" Wang Wan certainly didn't believe Zhang Xiaobao's deliberately relaxed appearance. "You will know in the future. It's the same as turning Sanshui County into Shan County. It's directly related to the development of civilization." Zhang Xiaobao only revealed this sentence. Wang Wan lowered her head and began to ponder. No matter how hard she thought, she couldn't think of a reason. Li Sun stood at the side and did not say a word. She recalled what she had just seen. That child could not even be coaxed by her own parents. Zhang Xiaobao had arranged for her, and she immediately laughed. It was too strange. Could it be that the expert even taught her this? After thinking for a while, Li Sun thought about the matter of the dock and asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "Xiaobao, the dock over there will start construction tomorrow. Don't you want to go with me to take a look?" "No, it's too far. It's in the provincial capital. It will take at least half a month from here to there, right?" Zhang Xiaobao estimated the distance. His father went there to take the provincial capital examination. It took half a month to walk there. Chapter 298. Li Sun left under the protection of the guards, while Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan strolled back slowly. They didn't need to have someone protecting them all the time, at least not on the surface. In Zhuangzi, it was too difficult for ordinary people to hurt them, unless there was a legendary master who could fly and pick leaves. If that was the case, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would accept it. When others came to Zhuangzi, they had to be searched first. Last time, when Housekeeper Chen came, he was not allowed to bring anything dangerous. If he felt that it was unfair, he could not come, or he could go to the Yamen of Sanshui County to complain. "Xiaobao, why didn't you tell me your plan? You always hide things from me," Wang Wan said unhappily as she held Zhang Xiaobao's hand and walked home. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and said, "It's not that I want to hide it from you, but we know different things. My plan has always been very big, and it contains too much information. If I tell you, you will think about how to perfect it, and it will delay your plan. You also said that international swindlers are not ordinary, and it's true. The things they think about are very complicated. Every step they take needs to be adjusted and connected with the previous step. It's not easy, and it's tiring. When my father has an official position, he will probably be the county magistrate of Huayuan County. When that time comes, when you train the army, when it's the Yamen or people in the government, I won't care. There are specialties in every field. I believe in you, and at the same time, I hope you will believe in me." This was the first time that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had a serious conversation, and they dissected their ideas. Before, they cooperated with each other, but they also concealed their ideas. Wang Wan was also facing this kind of thing for the first time. She thought for a while and said, "This is the independence of personality, right? What you and I discussed were the small things and the big part. I really didn't expect that you would set up such a big scheme and push Sanshui County up. I've never thought of setting up such a big scheme. I've always rushed things out one after another. You know me. What I used to do was to link up some information and then operate it. People without abilities will always do things independently. I've been practicing for so many years. The first thing I think of when I encounter a problem is to join forces. When Li Sun confirmed that those people in the dock were swindlers, I thought of pushing Sanshui County up. Then I began to connect it with my father's imperial examination, and then other arrangements appeared. In fact, it's not strange at all. It's a matter of habit." Zhang Xiaobao told her what he thought, including some of his operation process. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao again. After a while, she said, "Don't make it sound so easy. If I really listen to you and think it's simple, then I'm a fool. Well, I don't care how you operate. It's still what we agreed at the beginning. You can't just go and help ordinary people." Ordinary people refers to the people who come to help dig the river, not including Zhuangzi of the Qin family. When your father really has real power, I will train some people to help you. I believe that you will arrange it reasonably. What else do you need me to do? Yes, compose some nursery rhymes and dance routines. That's your forte. I'll write some nursery rhymes and dance routines for young children. I've read some books on this subject and have experienced it myself. The thing I can't stand the most is to watch a sick child die in front of me. Zhang Xiaobao had always liked children very much. Unfortunately, he didn't have his own children, so he could only be a little better to other people's children. Wang Wan could also understand Zhang Xiaobao's character. Whether he was sick or not was not important. What was important was that this obsession allowed Zhang Xiaobao to achieve such a great career and benefit many children. It was just like how they made Li Sun have contradictions in his thoughts. The ability of human existence was contradictory. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao said so, Wang Wan promised, "I will make that children's song. It's simple. First, I will write down what you said at that time, which is the words of West Wind. Then I will write something like planting the sun. What do you think?" Good, planting the sun is good. This children's song can make children with a kind heart to harm others. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly laughed. How is it harming? Wang Wan was puzzled. Zhang Xiaobao suppressed the idea of continuing to laugh and said, "This song has been circulating for more than 100 years. What are the lyrics?" The general meaning is that if you plant the sun and hang it in the Antarctic and Arctic oceans, it will shine regardless of day or night. The result is that the ice and snow will melt and the sea level will rise. Do you get what I'm saying? How many people in Japan will be drowned? According to the current saying, Lingnan Province, Hunan Province, Huainan Province, and Jiangnan Province are all gone. It's okay if those places are gone. People can move to the mainland. But what about the surrounding islands? Where will they run to? When Zhang Xiaobao said so, Wang Wan couldn't help but laugh. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have a nationality. He only had the thoughts of a nation, but he also came back to deceive people. Wang Wan was different. She was educated like that. When she thought about planting the sun, she turned her eyes to the east and covered her mouth to laugh. After laughing for a while, she asked, "Xiaobao, Li Sun will come to find us tomorrow. Do you want to go to the shipyard over there?" "It's fine if you want to go, but it's also fine if you don't want to go. If you want to go, we can go and take a look. It's just that we can let the people here do something. If we don't go, it's safer. With the two of us here, we don't have to worry about anything uncontrollable." Originally, Zhang Xiaobao was waiting for the children of the Zhuang family to grow up so that they could help out. There shouldn't be any problems with raising them since they were young. But now he was a little too busy. He had to personally understand such trivial matters. Steward Zhang could be used, but Zhuangzi couldn't be without Steward Zhang. Otherwise, his mother would be tired. Song Jinggong could also be used, but Song Jinggong was in charge of the docks at Little Luoshui. He was already not simple. Then there was Aaron Yo. He was smart and could arrange things well. He was now in charge of contacting the Hunan Circuit, which was Shandong. It was impossible for him to take time out to put his mind on other things. Shirlu, Yin Tao, and Xiao Hong were also good. Unfortunately, they were women. It was no longer the era of Wu Meinyang. Princess Taiping had died, so they could only do things at home. At this time, the two most useful people were Su Si and his assistant, Zhang Liang. Zhang Liang would be transferred to Beijing to be the supervisor. Su Si wouldn't be of much use now. Everything would be taken care of by Ergu. It's Su Si. Let's go there and play. Let Su Si take care of more things and see if he can adapt. There are 3 things: the restaurants between the clouds and the water, the closure of the river behind the river, and the layout of the cloister in Zhuangzi. After doing it well, he can take charge of it alone. If he can't do it well, he will continue to follow orders obediently. Zhang Xiaobao mentioned Su Si to Wang Wan. He wanted to test him. Wang Wan wasn't worried that Su Si would mess up. She trusted Zhang Xiaobao. She believed that in the face of such economic matters, Zhang Xiaobao could handle it very easily. If Su Si did something wrong, how much could he compensate? If there really was someone who dared to cheat Su Si, then it would be even better. Zhang Xiaobao would have something to do. Xiaobao, then do we need to prepare some information about the ships? Wang Wan also wanted to go out and take a look. The furthest place they had been to was Little Luo Shui. If the road was better, it would take less than an hour to reach that place by car. No, I don't know how to build a ship at all. Unless you want me to cheat, don't even think about it. The ships here are different from ours. Find more old and new shipwrights. The old shipwrights are more experienced, and the new shipwrights are more courageous. We are not afraid of failure, but we are afraid of losing the courage to challenge. Zhang Xiaobao knew his place and advised Wang Wan. Well, as long as there is one person who can guide the intelligent people, they will be able to show their wisdom. I will listen to you. Wang Wan also didn't know how to build a ship. She originally wanted to draw some ship diagrams. The two of them talked all the way back to their own courtyard hand in hand. The moon shone on their slanted shadows. Except for the people in the inner courtyard, outsiders would never think that the owners of these two shadows were the people who completed Shangxian in Sanshui County. They each had their own strengths, 2 swords and 2 walls. Li Sun came over the next morning. He didn't eat. As long as he had a reason to come over, he wouldn't eat. The food in his house was not as good as the food in other people's house. The place that was similar to Beijing restaurant was the first restaurant in Linshui. The place that was better than the first restaurant in Linshui was between the clouds and the water. If he felt that between the clouds and the water was not good, then he would go to the courtyard of Zhang Xiaobao, the head of the Zhang family. This was Li Sun's idea. The food made in the restaurant was not the same as the food made in Zhang Xiaobao's courtyard. There was always a lack of freshness. Only Wang Wan knew that Zhang Xiaobao had hidden a kind of seasoning chicken essence. The Real chicken essence was better than MSG, but it was a bit of a waste of chicken. A chicken essence could be made a little bit. The thing that was used to deceive people was like the method of growing vegetables in winter. Now, it didn't cost a lot of money. Another reason was that Zhang Xiaobao had requested for the chefs in the courtyard to make home-cooked dishes, such as steamed eggplant with sauce, small root cabbage box, and the soup of the Malbur plant. When it entered the mouth, it did not have the taste of the restaurant that everyone would think was acceptable. According to Zhang Xiaobao's words, the best taste of food was the taste of home. It didn't need to be too fresh or too fragrant. As long as it made people feel like they were at home, it was the best thing, even if it was shallots mixed with tofu. Li Sun was attracted by this taste. After eating a meal, he couldn't forget it. Even the methods of the imperial chef in the palace couldn't compare to the food in Zhang Xiaobao's courtyard. Therefore, as soon as Li Sun entered the place where Zhang Xiaobao was eating, he said, "Are you eating? What are you eating? Is it delicious?" Chapter 299. After chatting with Li Sun for a while, the three of them finished their meal and prepared to leave. There wasn't anything big at home. If there was something that couldn't be solved, he would ask housekeeper Zhang to look for Minister Bai who had retired. Don't think that he didn't care about this kind of person who took the initiative to retire. Even the emperor wouldn't dare to ignore him. If he presented a memorial to the emperor, no one would stop him. Before leaving, Zhang Xiaobao found Su Si and said to him, "Su Si, I have seen some of the things you have done recently. My family has decided that you will no longer be in charge of the market and the grocery store. Ergu is enough." Ah! Su Si felt that his head was buzzing. When he heard this, the first thing that came to his mind was that the master felt that Ergu was better and didn't want him anymore. What ah? From now on, you will have new things to do. The end of the river, the arrangement of the restaurant between the clouds and the water, and the design of the cloister between my family and the Wang families. You will be in charge of all of these. If something happens, don't blame the master for not giving you face. Zhang Xiaobao didn't wait for Su Si to start crying and gave him the job. Su Si had signed a death contract, so he didn't need to use his previous methods to suppress him. Ah? Su Si called out again, but his tone was a little different. He thought that the master didn't want him anymore. He didn't expect that he would be given a job with more power. What I want to tell you now is that when you do something, don't do it casually if you don't have confidence. If you don't understand something, ask someone who knows. Don't worry. No matter who you ask, as long as the job is done well, the credit will go to you. If I find out that you deliberately suppress some people, you'll find a better job. Zhang Xiaobao warned Su Si. There were many cases of supervisors bullying their subordinates and denying the suggestions of their subordinates. Those people would rather the company not develop well than to use the better methods of their subordinates. Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't allow such a thing to happen to his subordinates. Su Si nodded vigorously. He knew that this little ancestor had taken a liking to him, so he had to listen to her. If he made the main house unhappy, his monthly allowance might be deducted. If he made the little ancestor unhappy, no one would say anything if he lost his life. He hurriedly agreed. Only when the three of them were seated in the carriage did he let out a sigh of relief. He muttered, "If you don't understand, just ask. Tell the person who came up with the idea to the young master and young lady. I will also be rewarded. I can't go and suppress others. I will die." Xiaobao, if someone comes up with a better idea, how do you plan to deal with Su Si? Li Sun sat beside Zhang Xiaobao and thought of what Zhang Xiaobao had just said. Arrange for him to go out and let him take care of things on his own, Zhang Xiaobao said without thinking. Li Sun didn't understand. Then what about the person who came up with a better idea? Keep him by your side and see if he can be like Su Si. If he can arrange for him to go out. If he can't, just do what you were doing before, Zhang Xiaobao said again. Why? If he can come up with a better idea, won't he be better than Su Si? Li Sun asked. There are many good people. As long as you are willing to spend money, you can find them. What the Zhang family wants is not this. What we want is a kind of unity. For the Zhang family, talent is not the most important thing. Knowledge and experience can be cultivated, but character is not. Our family doesn't care about talent. What we want is character. Zhang Xiaobao almost said that he didn't care about talent. He really didn't care. It wasn't like he was making an atomic bomb. It was just a small business. At most, he would do it himself. It was better than finding someone with bad character to worry about it all day. If he had the energy to worry about it, he would rather do it himself. Li Sun couldn't figure out why Zhang Xiaobao would say that. He could only keep it in his heart for the time being. He could slowly think about it himself, or ask someone else. The car wasn't slow. It was shaking. Fortunately, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's willpower was stronger than a scream. They didn't vomit. Li Sun's car was really worse than his. There were some bent pieces of bamboo between the carriage and the axle to act as a buffer. The car shook as it moved. When it was time to eat, they had to look around to see if there were any small wine shops. Li Sun was not like Zhang Xiaobao's father, who carried a bunch of things when he went out. In the past, he might have been able to do so. Now he felt that he was the best person. Even if there were no wine shops around, he felt that he and Zhang Xiaobao would be able to reach their destination alive. After surviving in the wild, he was now full of confidence. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't want to persist like this. The two of them didn't think that surviving in the wild was good. They had already suffered enough. At this time, they were sitting in a roadside shop and eating. There was only one dish, fried with beans and meat. There were a lot of beans and very little meat. When they looked at the plate, they saw that it was all lean meat. This wasn't because the people in the shop knew that the three of them didn't like to eat fatty meat. It was because there was very little fatty meat. Everyone else liked to eat it, so they didn't use it to cook. The food in this shop is good. Look, how is this shredded meat? It's obviously a steak. The medium rare kind. If you don't have the ability to cook, can't you first blanch the meat with water? It's eaten together with beans. Zhang Xiaobao picked up some meat. As soon as it entered his mouth, he spat it out. When he looked carefully, there were still traces of blood in the meat. If it was just fried meat, he would eat it. However, if it was fried together with beans, it would be easy to become laxative after eating it. It was just right for people with indigestion. Wang Wan only picked beans to eat. Fortunately, the beans were cooked. She asked someone to bring her a spoon. She ate with the steamed buns that she didn't know. Li Sun glanced at the meat that Zhang Xiaobao spat out. After thinking for a while, he said, "If I had known, I would have brought my own chef or used their ingredients in kitchen. I think that eating insects is better than eating this meat. Isn't it easy to eat this meat? Shopkeeper, bring me some garlic and some salt." Zhang Xiaobao naturally had a way to deal with it. He waited for the only shopkeeper, waiter, and owner to bring the garlic and salt. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a piece of meat, dipped it in the salt, and stuffed it into his mouth. He also asked for a mouthful of garlic. He ate it very happily. Li Sun also learned. He found that he couldn't eat the fishy taste of the meat, only the saltiness of the salt and the spiciness of the garlic. He said with admiration, "Zhang Xiaobao, I have seen it. You're really not ordinary. You can even eat this thing. Okay, I will remember it. I will eat it like this when I see it next time." Well, there's actually another way. Let them make soup with the vegetables. When we go back and boil it, the meat may be a little bit worse, but it will definitely be cooked. Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to find more trouble. If it wasn't cooked, then eat it. What else could he do? The three of them made do and finished eating. They decided that if they came across this kind of restaurant in the future, they would only order salted vegetables and pancakes. They wouldn't eat anything else. The carriage didn't travel slowly. It only took 6.5 days to reach their destination. If Li Sun wanted to, he could directly enter the manor. That was his home. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't want to see a prince so early. It was difficult to talk to him, so they pretended to be ignorant children. In fact, the other party already knew that the two of them had learned a lot. But if they said too much, then it would cause trouble. If they didn't do well, then there would be many talented people fighting to teach the two of them. The three of them directly walked towards the dock. The river here was not something that the river in Zhuangzi of the Wang family and Zhuangzi of the Gu family could compare to. It was also not something that the small river in front of the Zhang family could compare to. The surging river water was vast and mighty. From time to time, the waves in the river would splash onto the shore. The location of the dock hadn't changed. It was still the location chosen by those people. Those people had good foresight. The ground here was flat, the water was deep enough, and it wasn't as turbulent as it was just now. The general framework of the dock had already been built. Half of it was on the shore, while the other half extended into the river, making it convenient for boats to enter the water. At this time, there were already people making small boats. This was easy to make. As long as the current wasn't too fast, and there were some reefs, then it would be unimpeded. Moreover, there were fewer places to enter the water. When there was no sail, the boat's speed would be faster. Li Sun, Zhang Xiaobao, and Wang Wan looked around. As they looked, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan discovered a problem. To be precise, it was the technology. This boat was beautifully made. It was 2 zhang long, 6 feet wide, and about 6 feet tall. This was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that there was not a single nail in the entire place. All of the connections between the pieces of wood were made using the method of riveting. This method was not too unusual, and many of the furniture in the Zhang and Wang families' farmsteads were also made using this method. However, it did not seem to be very reliable when used in shipbuilding, especially when building boats in the future. If they still used this technology, the advantage was that when the waves hit, the connected parts could borrow the force of each other and disperse the force. There was no need to talk about the disadvantages. If a part was damaged slightly, it was easy for other parts to be damaged as well. Zhang Xiaobao asked the person who was building a boat there, "Master, why don't you use nails here?" "Little guy, you don't know. Nails are easy to rust. When a boat is built, it won't be used for more than a few years. As long as it is hit by water, the place with nails will rot. It won't be used for long." The worker smiled at Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao really didn't know how to build a boat. He turned to Wang Wan and asked, "You really don't use nails on the boat? What about the iron boat?" "The anti-rust technology is different. A layer of paint is applied here. It has a function, but the paint will always fall off. For a boat that is soaked in water all day, the protection is not so good." Wang Wan felt that this should be the reason. Zhang Xiaobao estimated the time when the boat was in use. He found Li Sun and said to him, "When we build a big boat, we will add another layer of nails. It won't be long if the boat is in use. 3 or 4 years is enough. It can't be like building a small boat now. Using nails? Xiao Bao, where do you want these big boats to go in the future? Li Sun was already used to it. He probably found these skilled people. Chapter 300. Li Sun didn't know where Zhang Xiaobao was referring to. He thought he was referring to Japan, where there were also people coming over, and even officials in the imperial court. He felt that Zhang Xiaobao's idea was really good. So he agreed, well, we'll do as you say. I think before you came here, your family has already told you. Yes, that person at home has already told me. Zhang Xiaobao was willing to keep this misunderstanding. He and Wang Wan had already thought about it. They didn't know how long it would take to wait for others to come over, so it was better to go over themselves. As long as they could get some things back, such as tomatoes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, and so on, then they could plant them. Of course, the most important thing was the chili. The chili sauce they were eating now didn't taste so good, so with chili, there would be more varieties. As for the potatoes, they also liked them. They could make some mashed potatoes or roast some potato slices, or even directly steam them and mix them with eggplant, put some chopped green onions and stir in the sauce. After eating a big bowl, they would be full and wouldn't need to eat anything else. These things could only be thought about in their hearts, and that day was still far away. The three of them walked around the dock, and only Zhang Xiaobao proposed to use nails. Li Sun and Wang Wan didn't find any problems, and they didn't know how to find problems. At noon, Li Sun asked Zhang Xiaobao, do you really not want to go to the mansion to have a look? No, your family has a lot of rules, and you can't eat peacefully. It's nothing more than the people sitting here asking you a question, and then praising me and cuckoo. When they are happy, they will reward me and cuckoo. If you want to go back, you can go back by yourself. Cuckoo, and I will find a restaurant to eat. Zhang Xiaobao very straightforwardly pointed out the things that he could encounter, and no matter what, he wouldn't go. Wang Wan was also annoyed by this kind of thing, so she didn't say anything, which could be considered as tacitly agreeing with Zhang Xiaobao's words. Li Sun sighed. His mission today was to bring Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan back home. However, Zhang Xiaobao was right. Once they were back at the residence, there was nothing new. Seeing that the two of them were determined not to go, and it was not easy to force them, he thought about it and decided not to go home. It was better to follow the two of them. Under the protection of a group of guards, the three of them arrived at the restaurant that Zhang Xiaobao had someone buy. The three-story restaurant had already been painted, but it still could not hide the vicissitudes of life within. When they arrived, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already prepared themselves. They didn't expect to see a fiery scene, but when they arrived, they discovered that there would always be differences between imagination and reality. At this time, the first floor of the restaurant was already filled with people, and all the windows on the second floor had been pushed open from the inside. It was unknown whether those people were not afraid of the cold, or were deliberately doing so. On the third floor, there was only one room with its windows tightly shut, right in the middle. There were actually people waiting outside the restaurant. From time to time, they would ask the waiter if there was anyone who had finished eating and left so that they could go over. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at each other, but couldn't figure out the reason. They walked to the door of the restaurant and saw that the signboard was not painted at all. The three words Wangjun Restaurant faintly appeared on the signboard. It was unknown whether it was a name given by a woman who longed for the person in her heart, or by a person who yearned to see a real gentleman. It was not wrong to say that a man thought of a woman and gave this name. The waiter's eyes were sharp. He stood at the door and chatted with those who were anxiously waiting. Then he smiled at those who had just arrived. Almost all the people who came were under his control. His ability was not small. Zhang Xiaobao also remembered this waiter. Don't underestimate this matter. Many times, it was precisely because of this kind of person that a business deal could be negotiated. Isn't this steward's son? You also came. Now all the places are occupied. If you want to go to the third floor, wait a little longer. When the time comes, there will be people coming down. They will definitely serve you your favorite home-cooked tofu. At this time, the waiter saw another person come over. He trotted over and respectfully said, When Steward's son heard that there was no place, his face became ugly. However, when he heard the following words, he revealed a smile and said, I only came here once half a month ago and said that the home-cooked tofu was good. How did you know? Steward's son, you are testing this little one. This little one dares to forget others. But how can this little one not remember you? The last time you came here, this little one will never forget your elegant demeanor. The waiter was clever and immediately said there. This made Steward's son's face light up. He said to the people who came with him, let's eat here. The food here is delicious. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw this scene and nodded. They had already approved of this waiter and were ready to put him in an important position. Half a month ago, he was able to recognize them immediately and remember what they liked to eat. It was a pity that such a person was a waiter. Li Sun saw that the place was full and did not pay much attention to the waiter. He frowned and asked someone to go over and ask. That person directly found the waiter, who was still flattering others. My family's young master came from afar. Get him a place. The guard said to the waiter without any trace of politeness. The waiter immediately turned his smiling face and said to the guard, This big brother, you also saw that the place is full. If your family's young master wants to eat, then please wait here for a while. The guard did not buy it. He stared and said, Do you know who my family's young master is? I don't know. How would this little one know? If you remind me, this little one will be very grateful. The waiter's eyes swept around, wanting to find this person's young master, so as not to offend him. Humph! Who is he? The young master of this prefecture's king's manor. Who do you think he is? The guard coldly snorted and said. The waiter slapped his thigh. Oh, so it's young Master Li. Look at this little one's memory. Someone had already reserved a place on the 3rd floor. Unfortunately, you can't see this side. It's on the other side. Hurry up, this little one is finished. I actually forgot about this important matter. Li Sun heard clearly and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, How is it? When you heard that this young master is coming, you got a room on the 3rd floor. Although you can't see this side, it's not easy. As he spoke, he stuck out his chest and raised his head. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Li Sun in confusion and asked, You don't know what's going on with this restaurant? Who said that I don't know? This year's village tribute, the top 10 people all stayed in this restaurant, including your father. Your father doesn't count, but the other 9 people are here. It's just in time for the release of the results. It's very lively. When people know about this place, they all say that it's a blessed place. Otherwise, why would so many people come here? Li Sun explained to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood that all 10 people were here, and they were the top 10. No wonder the business was good. However, Li Sun did not seem to know who owned this restaurant. At this time, the waiter came over and said to Li Sun with a smile, Young Master Li, the place has been arranged. Would you like to go up now? And is there anyone who wants to finish eating here? Li Sun still wanted to see this place. It was spacious and bright. In reply to Young Master, there is no more. The 3rd floor is also empty. It was specially set aside. Fortunately, it was not given to others. Otherwise, if Young Master Li had to wait here, my head would be gone. At this time, the waiter lowered his voice, but Li Sun and the other 2 could still hear. Xiaobao, come with me. This is the benefit of authority. Li Sun said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao smiled and took out a small rolled-up flag from his chest. He slowly unfolded it and showed it to the waiter. There were 2 cute seedlings on it. After the little flag was completely unfolded, the waiter's eyes suddenly straightened. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao and then at Wang Wan. He suddenly knelt down and saluted. Young Master, Young Miss, I didn't expect you 2 to come here. This little one kowtows to you too. As he spoke, he kowtowed again and again. Don't quickly get up. Is there a place upstairs? Zhang Xiaobao reached out to help him up and asked at the same time. Yes, Young Master is here. How can there not be a place? Do you see the room with the closed window on the 3rd floor? It is there. You can see it clearly from here. There is also a staircase in that room that can go up to the roof. If Young Master is willing to eat on the roof, this little one can send the food up to you. The waiter stood up and pointed to the room with the closed window and said to Zhang Xiaobao very respectfully. Li Sun was stunned. The waiter just said that there was no place. In the blink of an eye, there was a place. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao and just happened to see Zhang Xiaobao's indifferent gaze. He felt his face burning. He asked the waiter, "Didn't you say that there was no place? If young master doesn't come, then there is no place. If young master comes, then there is naturally a place. That room is where master used to stay. It has never been used by outsiders." This time, the waiter had no intention of compromising. The young master was above everything else. No one could come here. Don't make things difficult for the waiter. Let's go up to the roof and eat. After we finish eating, I have decided to go to the capital with Cuckoo. When we arrive, my father will also be taking the exam. Zhang Xiaobao helped the waiter. This kind of waiter was good. He had a good memory, was clever, and was loyal to the young master. You want to go to the capital? Then I will go too. When the three people entered, Li Sun seemed to have found something interesting and sat at the side. When the people who were waiting heard the waiter and Zhang Xiaobao's words, they didn't have any thoughts of getting angry, especially when they knew that the best room was occupied. How could the young master's house not have a place? Zhang Xiaobao's group of three ate a meal on the roof and ate a stomach full of wind. They didn't plan to rest here and directly went to the dock. Chapter 301. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had never been to the capital before. They only knew that it was very big. Only when they saw the road that could allow more than a dozen carriages to run side by side did they know how big it was. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the road in front of him and the trees planted on both sides of the road and muttered, "It's really beautiful and grand. It really is the capital of a country. When we go back, we should also make a road like this between the two newly bought Zhuangzi. We don't need to farm anymore." Wang Wan didn't say anything. She kept looking at the capital city that had left behind many stories and legends. The streets were more lively than the docks of Sanshui County. There were people wearing all kinds of clothes. From time to time, they could see people who were obviously from a foreign country walking by. Li Sun didn't find this place strange. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan standing there looking around, he said, "We're here. Do you two want to go to the palace with me or go to your family's restaurant?" Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at each other and shook their heads at the same time. "We're not going to the palace. I don't know where my father is. I won't meet with him today. I'll wait until after the exam tomorrow." Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to disturb his father now. He asked the people around him to ask around. He and Wang Wan strolled slowly on the streets. Li Sun didn't force him. He left with the guards and found a place by himself. He didn't want to go to the palace. It didn't take long for the people here to find Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. "Little young master, little miss, master is now resting in Savant's restaurant. Do you two want to go to Savant's restaurant, or?" The person in charge respectfully stood in front of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and asked, "Then we'll go to Savant's restaurant. Don't let my father know that we're here." "Okay, let's go to Savant's restaurant." Zhang Xiaobao ordered and pulled Wang Wan and prepared to go there. The steward hurriedly found a car and invited the two of them in. From here to Pleasure House, there would be a long way to go. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat in the carriage. They lifted the curtains and looked out. At this time, there were residences on both sides. At first glance, they saw that the houses were lined up. There was a special ditch between the houses and the road. There were also elm and locust trees planted beside it. "Xiaobao, this place is indeed not bad. Perhaps because of this, the later generations have always remembered this dynasty and treated it as a spiritual symbol. It's a pity that when they accepted so many people, they didn't think of keeping some of the technology a secret and letting others learn it." Wang Wan thought of something and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and then shook his head. Actually, maybe these people thought that in the future, their future generations would also have a bright future. To be able to maintain this prosperity is a kind of confidence. Confidence in themselves, confidence in their future generations. Unfortunately, success is because of Xianzong. Failure is because of Xianzong. He pushed the Kaiyuan dynasty to a new high in history and made Tianbao a precursor to the destruction of the Tang dynasty. The advantages and disadvantages of the imperial system are perfectly reflected in him. When it's time to delegate power, you have to delegate power. You can't treat the entire country as a game. Then shouldn't we do something? We can't just watch a powerful dynasty disappear, right? Wang Wan asked a little unwillingly. There's no hurry. We haven't reached the peak of Shengshi dynasty yet. We have time, so let's take it one step at a time. Tomorrow's exam will depend on my father. As long as he can do what needs to be done, the rest will be easy. He will be an official outside the capital and may stay in the capital and scheme against others all day long. And it shouldn't be a problem. Your father has a solid foundation and came here to experience it in advance. Moreover, in these days, he has been writing poems from time to time. He has already practiced it. Wang Wan knew that Zhang Xiaobao was a little nervous, so she softly persuaded him. The two of them chatted as they walked along the road. They wanted to get a good feel of the atmosphere here. As they walked, they arrived at the West Market. At this time, they could see many shops standing on both sides of the road. There were even some foreign merchants hawking their wares. Xiaobao, look at the things they are selling. There are a lot of different things. When your father is done with the exam tomorrow, let's walk around here and buy some small things back. We can't go out without bringing anything. Wang Wan looked at the people hawking and bargaining and said excitedly, "And we should buy some. We can also give prizes to children who study well. Look over there, they're selling flowers. Some have bloomed, and some are just bare branches. Especially that one. It doesn't look like it's going to bloom at all. That thing." "Stop the car," Zhang Xiaobao also said, pointing to a place where flowers were sold in pots. As he spoke, he shouted. The carriage immediately stopped. "Xiaobao, what flower did you see? Why are you in such a hurry?" Wang Wan asked when Zhang Xiaobao pulled her out of the carriage. "Good flower, cotton, I finally found it. I'm convinced. They actually put cotton in a pot. Our quilt is stuffed with cotton. How can it be compared to cotton?" Zhang Xiaobao said happily. With cotton, things would be easier. In the future, there would be more things to do. The convenience of life came from cotton. Wang Wan was also happy. She had been thinking about looking for watermelon and cotton. She didn't expect to see them here. She said they originally planted cotton as flowers. It seems that it was only in the Song dynasty that it had other uses. This thing doesn't seem to be called cotton. What is it called? Just ask and you will know. Flower seller, how much are you selling these flowers? Zhang Xiaobao stood in front of the cotton that was about the same height as him and asked, "Young master, are you asking about the white foldsy? If you only want to buy flowers, you can take 2 coins and I will also give you some mountain soil. If you want to buy it together with the pot, then it will be 12 coins. The flower seller turned his head and saw 2 children. He lowered his voice and said, so as not to scare them. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan was also thinking and said, "Flower seller, where did you find the white foldsy? We want to buy more. Can you still get it?" "Yes, no matter how much you want to buy, I will find it for you. The price is even cheaper. But will your parents agree?" The flower seller felt that a big deal was coming, but he was afraid that the 2 children were just talking and couldn't take out the money. Zhang Xiaobao calculated and said, "We want to buy 10,000 plants. How much do you think it will be?" While talking, he gave a look to the steward who got off another car and walked over. The steward immediately said, "Flower seller, don't worry about the money. As long as the young master and the young lady want to buy it, we will naturally give you 1 coin less." With his words, the flower seller was relieved and showed a slightly embarrassed expression on his face. "If you want to buy 10,000 plants, we will have to wait a few days. If I can't find so many today, I will have to go to other people to get them. It may be possible if several families work together. If you want to buy these, why don't you give me 17,000 coins? 15,000 coins. Okay, we will pay the deposit first." Zhang Xiaobao made a counteroffer. He could have lowered the price, but he felt that the flower seller didn't have it easy, so he gave a little more. The flower seller paused for a moment and immediately agreed. As for how to transport it, it was the steward's business. After finding the cotton and ordering 10,000 plants, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan happily got in the car again and went to Joy House. Xiaobao, the cotton is here. Where do we plant it? We can't plant it in the field. If someone reports it, we will be punished. With the cotton, Wang Wan began to worry about the planting again. Plant it in Grandpa Bai's field. He hasn't planted anything yet. It turned out to be a wasteland. No one will say anything. Zhang Xiaobao thought of the old man's field, which was just right. Okay, when we make the bedding, give it to him first. Wang Wan said generously. As expected, no one told Zhang Zhong that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had come to the capital. The servants knew that if the master knew that the young master and young lady had come, he wouldn't be so calm. Maybe he would be absent-minded during the exam. At this time, Zhang Zhong was eating a simple and light meal. There was also a pot of warm wine. He was not going to see anyone today. A few days ago, he had seen the people he wanted to see and sent the invitations. He was just waiting to see how things would go after the exam. County Magistrate Chung sat opposite him and explained what to do during the exam. County Magistrate Chung had not taken the Jinshi exam, but he had taken other exams and knew some things about the Jinshi exam. Zhang Zhong listened carefully to County Magistrate Cheng's words. The two of them ate for a full 4 hours. When the dishes were cold, they were taken away and replaced with new ones. The wine was also kept warm at all times. In the afternoon, Zhang Zhong read for a while and then went to bed early. He still had to wake up early tomorrow. The servants began to prepare the things for tomorrow. They prepared 3 sets of the 4 treasures of the study, some food, and some things that might be useful. Early the next morning, countless high scholars were accompanied by their servants. Some of them were alone, and some of them were outside the examination hall prepared by the Ministry of Rites. Zhang Zhong brought a few servants with him. When he saw so many people waiting in front of him, he took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. He calmed himself down and walked over. There were soldiers maintaining order over there. Many people were not sure and were whispering to each other. Some people even closed their eyes. After Zhang Zhong came to the capital, he had met many people. As he walked, he was greeted by many people. Those who were taking the Jinshi exam, those who were taking the Jinshi exam, those who were taking the Jinshi exam. They gathered together to guess what the exam would be. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also secretly came over and watched from afar. The servants around them surrounded them so that they wouldn't get lost in the crowd. When it was time for the exam, a few officials came over and talked about the things that they should pay attention to during the exam. They also asked the soldiers to check the things that the high scholars brought. As for the body search, they did not appear. These people also began to enter one by one. Zhang Xiaobao clenched his fists and muttered, "Dad, don't be afraid. You can do it." "Xiaobao, why are you trembling? You said that others are not afraid. Look at you being so nervous." Wang Wan grabbed Zhang Xiaobao's arm and said, Chapter 302. The entrance exam was only 1 day long. As for the other subjects, it would depend on the results of the exam. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan waited for their father to enter the examination hall. They brought their servants along with them and prepared to wait here for a day. If they want to eat, they would need someone to send them food. Zhang Zhong entered the examination hall and looked at the things he brought. The weather was still cold, so he took out a blanket and put it under his butt. He also took out the smokeless charcoal and lit it in the brazier. Only then did he start to answer the questions. Everyone else also did the same. Only the poor scholars did not have so many things. The soldiers patrolled from time to time. There were people who dared to bring their notes. They were caught and thrown out. It would be difficult for them to make a name for themselves in the future. Zhang Zhong felt that he had learned enough and did not prepare any notes. Furthermore, he was unable to prepare any notes. This time, the examination was about poetry, prose, scripture, and Laozi's essay. First, he wrote the essay. Zhang Zhong's father finished writing the essay in the morning. When it was time for lunch, the smell of various dishes floated in the examination hall. The poor scholars only drank some water and ate some dry food. The rich people naturally served all kinds of delicacies. Zhang Zhong's father opened his lunchbox. There were not many dishes in it. There were only some small steamed buns and garlic sauce. It seemed that the servants prepared for him to eat this. There was also a tightly wrapped bamboo tube with soup on top. The steamed buns were still warm. Seeing that there were only these two things, Zhang Zhong did not complain. He picked up the steamed buns and ate them. This kind of steamed buns were not sold outside. Only his family often made them. The stuffing inside the steamed buns was frozen before it was wrapped. When it was time to eat, there would be juice inside. He quickly finished the steamed buns and drank the soup. He leaned back and began to rest. After he finished writing the poems and prose, he would wait for the results. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also ate steamed buns outside. The rest of the servants also did the same. There were also people who came from other families. The entire area outside was almost full. Everyone looked at the entrance of the examination hall anxiously from time to time. When the sky gradually darkened, Zhang Zhong's figure finally appeared at the entrance of the examination hall. He carried the things he brought in. When he went out, he was stunned. "Dad, you're finally out. Quick, let's go back and celebrate. When the results are released, we'll go back and become officials with real power." Xiao Bao pulled Wang Wan and ran over from the other side. He immediately threw himself into his father's arms and said happily. Zhang Zhong touched his son's head and said, "Why are you here? Does your mother know?" "I missed you, so I came over. My mother should know by now. Originally, she only knew that we went to Zheozhong." "Father, don't talk about it anymore. Let's go back. We only had some buns for lunch. We'll eat something good when we get back." Zhang Xiaobao held his father's hand and walked back. A servant came over to take the things. Along the way, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan kept talking to Zhang Zhong about what they saw. Zhang Zhong was originally a little worried that he would not do well in the examination this time. After listening to his son and daughter-in-law's words, his mood gradually calmed down. He did not expect to meet the person he wanted to meet right after the examination in Beijing. The three of them talked as they walked. This time, they directly went to Savant's restaurant. A table full of dishes was placed on the table. Zhang Xiaobao poured wine for his father and began to change the topic. He did not mention the imperial examination anymore. Zhang Zhong was also happy to chat with his son and daughter-in-law. He talked about the scenery here and talked about what the foreign merchants were selling. After eating for more than 2 hours, the sky was completely dark. Only then did the three of them drink some tea and go back to sleep. The next few days were waiting for the results to be released. Zhang Xiaobao did not have much to do. He dragged Wang Wan to the east and west markets all day long and bought a lot of small things. Those cotton balls had already been sent back home, and the bottom was covered with mud. When the time came, as long as one could survive, he would buy another one. After all, it was cheap. This wait lasted for more than 10 days. Seeing that a new round of official appointments was about to be released, it was finally time to release the results. Early in the morning, there were servants who went to watch. Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Zhang Zhong also went to the nearest small restaurant. It was a place where ordinary people ate. It was also bought in the beginning. At this time, it was already full of people. Only a seat by the window was left for them. "Father, I've already thought about it. When you become the top scorer, we will not be an official in Beijing. Instead, we will be in Huaiyuan County. After you experience there for a few years, we will return to Beijing. Don't worry, you will definitely have achievements. Every year, during the selection, you will be in the upper middle class. You will not even be in the middle class." Zhang Xiaobao and the other two sat down. Zhang Xiaobao began to talk to his father. Zhang Zhong was still a little nervous. He did not know if he would become the top scorer. He did not expect to become the top scorer. As long as he could become the Jinsher, it would be fine. When he heard his son's words, he felt that his greatest ability in life was to have a good son. If it was someone else who said this, he would definitely think that person was stupid. But if it was his son who said it, it would definitely not be bad. He also lowered his voice and said, "Xiao Bao, the matter of being in the outside world is not that simple, right? I believe in your ability. As long as you are outside, you will be able to have a good political achievement. It's simple. The arrangements for officials below the 6th rank will be made by the Ministry of Personnel. This time, the person in charge of the imperial examination is only a small 6th rank official. In the future, it might be someone with a higher status. As long as you spend the money, you will be able to do it. Zhang Xiaobao was very confident in this. Now, it all depended on his father's results. Most of the other people in the store were also waiting for news from the other side. Zhang Xiaobao thought that there would be people riding horses to various places to report the good news. In the end, after waiting for a while, there was no one who came to report the good news. The three of them placed all of their attention on the ranking board and ate the dishes one mouthful at a time. When it was difficult to endure, someone finally ran over. As soon as he entered the store, he shouted loudly toward a scholar sitting there. "Young master, you won. Young master, Ming Jingyi, weight 15. Everyone in the store turned to look at that scholar. AB grade meant that there were some questions that he did not answer correctly, or he did not answer the examiner's questions properly. But after all, he had made it. His good days had come, and his family would also benefit from it. When that scholar heard that he had made it, he stopped eating. He threw some money on the table, turned around, and ran out, shouting as he ran. Zhang Xiaobao looked at this man who was in his 40s and shook his head. Was there a need to be like this for AB grade? Moreover, it was not for the advanced section. Just as that person ran out, another person came in. However, this person's complexion was not good. He walked to the side of a table and said to that person, "Brother, your name is not on the list. Let's go back." "Ah, not there? How could it not be?" The scholar was dumbfounded. He sat there and repeatedly muttered a few words. Perhaps it was because they had seen too much of this. Everyone turned their gaze elsewhere. Zhang Zhong's hand that was holding the chopsticks trembled. It was as if he was the one who did not make it. Zhang Xiaobao stood up and stepped on the stool to look outside. He did not see the person he sent out come back. After a while, just as Zhang Xiaobao was about to go and take a look himself, the person he sent out ran back in disheveled clothes. He cried and shouted at the same time, "I made it! Master made it! I'm first in Jinshi grade A. Master, I'm the top scorer." "Wow!" Accompanied by a clamor, everyone's eyes were focused on Zhang Zhong. At this time, Zhang Zhong was already stunned. He sat there motionless. Zhang Xiaobao hugged Wang Wan and kissed her on the cheek. He whispered, "Money and connections finally worked." Wang Wan raised her hand and pushed Zhang Xiaobao's face away. She said happily, "Look, it's like this. I'll ask my father to come and take the exam. After 2 more days, we can go back. Hurry up, tell this good news to the family." "Father, let's go back. You have a busy day tomorrow. How did you get your clothes? Why did you come back so late?" Zhang Xiaobao said to his father. He then turned to the person who reported the news and asked. Replied a little young master, "Just now, this one saw that the old master had been hit, so this one shouted." As a result, many people surrounded this one and asked this one about this one. This one managed to break free with great difficulty, so this one came back late. The person who reported the news did not look unhappy at all. It was as if being surrounded by people was also a happy thing. The few of them left the store under countless envious gazes. Zhang Xiaobao immediately asked someone to send the news back to his family as fast as possible. His family was still worried about it. On this day, the Savant's restaurant and the Joy House held a banquet. Anyone who could find people came to the 2 restaurants. From this day on, the 2 restaurants became more popular and their business became more prosperous. The next day, Zhang Zhong went out. He had to report the news and go to the apricot garden to eat and drink. If he had a good idea, he could meet the emperor. After that, he went to the big wild goose pagoda. After a busy day, he was tired enough. Of course, he also had to ride a horse and parade through the streets. Zhang Zhong rode a horse with flowers. He was dressed like a bridegroom. He rode the horse around Chang and city. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also squeezed into the crowd to watch. It was a pity that there was no camera. Otherwise, they would definitely take a picture of this scene. The servants who protected them behind them also puffed out their chests and raised their heads. This time, their identities were different. They were servants of the Savant's family, not ordinary servants. After this matter was over, it was time to start the official selection. Zhang Xiaobao's mediation was effective again. Zhang Zhong, who was supposed to stay in the capital, was arranged to be the county magistrate of Huayuan County. He was also given a goldfish bag to press his lapel. "Let's set sail." Zhang Xiaobao stood at the bow of the ship and shouted. Looking at the water in front of him, he felt high-spirited. This time they did not follow the way they came. Instead, they took another waterway. It was the one that the old man's nephew had taken. From that waterway, they could directly reach the capital. Chapter 303. The boat went against the current, following the original river that would stop after a certain distance. At this time, the river was no longer the same as before. There were boats going down the river. Some were carrying goods, and some were carrying people. All of them seemed to be very happy. "Father, this river flows through Huayuan County. It's a pity that it was taken by the nephew of the minister. Otherwise, our family would have a big income." Zhang Xiaobao introduced the river to his father, who smiled from time to time. Zhang Zhong knew the reason. It was because he was the top scorer this time. After a lot of trouble, he finally got the top scorer. His family spent a lot of money for this. "Xiaobao, you are tired. You have to take care of the things at home, but you also have to worry about the things outside. Sigh. You can even help me, your father, with his official career. It's all thanks to my son. If it was someone else, what would the Zhang family do?" Zhang Zhong looked at his son's chubby face and said with emotion. He had already stopped thinking about why his son was so powerful. That was not important. What was important was his son, filial and sensible. Even if his son suddenly flew in the sky one day, it was still his son. Zhang Xiaobao did not care about tiredness. He really did not do anything. It was just a small matter. As long as he took some time to think about it, he could arrange it. With this waterway, the distance from the capital to Zhangzhou Zhuangzi was reduced by 2/3. The value of this waterway was reflected in this. The boat was in the front, followed by several boats. All of the things on the boats were bought by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. There were many things to eat, drink, and play. The capital was indeed the capital. It was much more prosperous than Sanshui County. There were also many kinds of goods. The two of them bought things for their family, for the villagers, and for the children. All of these things cost more than 500 strings of coins. Among them, there were many things that were not too expensive. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could imagine how happy the people in Zhuangzi would be when they returned. If they had taken a detour like before, it would have taken them half a month to reach their destination. However, now that they were going against the current, it would take them about 6 to 7 days to reach their destination. After 5 days, they entered the territory of Huayuan County. While the boat was moving, many people suddenly appeared on the shore. The man on the left bank flung a rope to which a stone was fastened to the right bank. The man on the right bank caught the rope, and with a tug on both sides, the rope was stretched out in front of the boat. Zhang Xiaobao and the others were looking forward to going home one day later, but they didn't expect that someone would block the boat. Zhang Zhong hadn't taken office yet, so he couldn't use his identity as the county magistrate to pressure them. He originally had the 3 official titles of Cloud Cavalry Officer. Maybe someone forgot or something, but they didn't take it back. Who was blocking the boat? Who was responsible for protecting Zhang Zhong on the boat, shouted to both sides. "Your boat is crossing our river. Naturally, you can't do it for free. You have to pay. A boat needs to be paid. If you pay, the boat will go over. If you don't, go back the same way you came." A man on the left bank shouted at Zhang Xiaobao. The people on both banks also shouted a few times to boost their morale. Zhang Xiaobao smacked his lips and said, "It seems that we still have to put in some effort. Huayuan County is not like Sanshui County. Unexpectedly, there are such unruly people. Should we use good words to educate them, or should we use violent means?" When Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, she carefully looked at the people on both banks and said, "I guess we have to use both." Looking at the clothes these people are wearing, they are not so poor. They actually found such a simple way to make money. They are very smart. She didn't say that they didn't work for it. After all, they threw a rope. A rope was actually nothing. If they wanted to go over, they could just go over. The key was that there was still a rope over there. If they wanted to go over, they had to break the rope. She was afraid that these people didn't throw ropes, but stones to the boat. That would be troublesome. Who shouted, naturally wouldn't give money to others. How could a river become someone else's? He immediately shouted again. The person on the boat is Cloud Cavalry Officer, who is about to take office as the county magistrate of Huayuan County. If you don't get out of the way, you will be charged with robbery. Whose words were effective. The people on the shore didn't know whether it was true or not. They could only say that they would rather believe it than not. They covered their faces with their hands, turned around, and ran away. The rope was also pulled by a person and disappeared in front of the boat. The boat continued to move forward, but Zhang Xiaobao didn't feel happy at all. If those people could think of a way to block the boat, they would definitely block other people's boats. If they didn't do something about it, who would be willing to take this road in the future? I have to talk to Grandpa Bai's nephew about this. He is in charge of the wharf. If every boat is blocked, then the wharf can't be prosperous. When my father takes office, he will start to deal with these people. I don't know what kind of resistance he will encounter. If there is someone like Zhangjia Zhuangzi here, it will be really difficult to deal with. Zhang Xiaobao planned to let Grandpa Bai's nephew test the water to see if it was deep. When the time came, he would think of a solution according to the specific situation. Wang Wan also thought of this situation. It depends on how the Yamen runners in the Yamen are. If they are like the Yamen runners in Sanshui County, then your father can't expect to do anything. He will be deceived all day long. There are also the county's deputy secretary and the county's deputy secretary. Originally, the deputy secretary also had the opportunity to be the county magistrate. Do you think he will cooperate with your father? I'm not afraid. As the saying goes, money makes the world go round. Let's try peaceful means before resorting to force. When my father takes office, we will give those Yamen runners some benefits and see what they do. If they are respectful to my father and obedient, then we will treat them better. If they take the benefits and still act contrary to my father, then we will let them see what we can do. Zhang Xiaobao had already decided that as long as his father took office, he would first gather the Yamen runners. Otherwise, if he couldn't do anything, how could he build up Huayuan County? How could he make political achievements? He still had a lot of ideas that he didn't take out. He kept them for his father. Zhang Zhong was also thinking about the same thing. He didn't know what to do. When he heard the two children talking about the future, he felt that he was a little old, even if he was only in his 20s. After a short delay, the boat sped up again. Zhang Xiaobao stood at the bow and looked at the rushing water in front of him. He said to Zhang Zhong, "Father, the boat can't move at such a fast speed. When it comes to places with strong currents, it can't move anymore. We have to move bit by bit. Why don't you find some work for the people who don't have land to do after you take office?" "Xiaobao, what kind of work do you think we should find?" Zhang Zhong put his hand on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder and asked softly. His son was too smart. He could think of a job that could increase the income of the people in the county in the blink of an eye. Trackers. Ask them to put in some effort and arrange for trackers to be sent to those places with strong currents. It's good to send trackers over there. It's just a few coins per tracker. Along the way, we have encountered 4 trackers. There are 2 trackers in the county now. When we move forward, we can send 10 trackers to each tracker. 2 trackers can send 20 trackers. If each family sends 1 tracker, then all 20 families will benefit. If we send 8 to 10 trackers a day, each tracker will earn 10 coins. 10 coins can buy a lot of things for the people. Needless to say, how much do you earn in a year? Zhang Xiaobao said to his father. However, Zhang Zhong was a little disappointed. "Xiaobao, there are only 20 or so families. Even if there's another tracker ahead, there will only be 30 families. It's still too little." "Father, it's not little. A small idea can solve 20 or so families. Think of a few more. Many a little makes a mickle. You can also ask those who don't have much labor at home to set up stalls by the river and sell some things. If the people on the boat want to eat and drink, or if they want to buy some trinkets for their families, they can solve some of the problems." Zhang Xiaobao knew that his father didn't have any experience in this area. Even if he learned a little from County Magistrate Cheng, it was just an armchair strategist. He didn't know how big of an effect it would be to solve the problems of a few dozen families with the poorest living conditions. He could only counsel his father slowly. When Zhang Zhong heard this idea, he felt that it was a good idea. He nodded. Xiaobao, it's a pity that you are still too young. Otherwise, you should be the top scorer. If you were in the imperial court, the people in the imperial court would be blessed. Father, it's not easy to do things in the imperial court. You can't just do whatever you want. Obviously, your idea is good, but after some debate, you still can't do it. Father, if after you take office, the deputy magistrate and registrar in the Yamen are not on the same side as you, you can fight with them yourself. If you can't win, we can think of other ways. In the future, when you become an official in the capital, you can't avoid these kinds of fights. Politics is a kind of art. Isn't that right, Cuckoo? Zhang Xiaobao now decided to let his father train more, just like how he trained Wang Wan's father. Wang Wan's father was much more mature than before. After suffering a few losses, he finally learned some things. Zhang Zhong understood that his son was leaving him some face. What he meant by think of other ways if you can't win meant that if the father can't win, the son will do it himself. Sigh. I wonder who's the father? The boat continued to move forward. Sure enough, they saw a place with turbulent water. This way, they could arrange for 3 places to pull the fiber cable. Each time, they only needed to pull the cable less than 1,000 steps. The boat was small, so it was not as tiring as the boats in the Yangtze River and the Yellow River. Those who were not willing to spend this much money could slowly row there. Seeing that they were about to reach home, those who were eager to return home continued to row even when the sky was dark. They had no intention of stopping. They wanted to reach home early. When the sun rose, they could already see the restaurant between the clouds and the water from afar. The people on the boat cheered. This time, they were returning with supreme glory. Those people had already seen Zhang Xiaobao's boat. The telescope was still very useful. When the boat got closer, the sound of firecrackers began to ring out. 4 Zhuangzi villagers gathered around, wanting to welcome the top scorer. Chapter 304. Zhang Zhong, who was on the boat, was also excited. He knew what his parents were thinking. They were waiting for him to pass the exam, but he suddenly became the top scorer. The top scorer could be born every year. In the future, the Zhang family would become a big family. He was already the top scorer, so Xiao Bao didn't have to worry at all. Or they could have a few more children in the future and let Xiao Bao teach them. Even if they couldn't compare to Xiao Bao, they wouldn't be too bad. There was also Cuckoo. When they grew up and had children, wouldn't they be even more powerful? 2 people teaching 1 child, and they could also teach 1 child. The Zhang family would no longer be the same as the Zhang family that had to sneak back when the imperial court was in chaos to get a wife. The villagers opened their eyes wide and controlled their breathing. They didn't dare to breathe too loudly, fearing that they would blow up the top scorer. The people of Zhangjia Zhuangzi were the most proud, especially the old men. They had watched Zhang Zhong grow up. They didn't expect that the naughty young master from back then would become the top scorer. The people of Zhuangzi and Zhuangzi were also happy. They didn't expect that the new master of the family would become a manor just by going around the capital. In the future, when they went out, they could say that they were the top scorers villagers. That feeling, wouldn't others die of envy? The Wang family and Zhuangzi villagers also had reason to be happy. Who didn't know the relationship between the Zhang family and the Wang family? The Zhang family was the Wang family, and the top scorer was everyone's. Under everyone's expectations, Zhang Zhong's boat sped up and stopped at the shore between the clouds and the water. Zhang Zhong didn't wait for the boat to come to a stop. He jumped onto the boat and knelt down in front of the old master without saying anything. Father, your unfilial son is back. Father, you don't have to worry about the Zhang family being unable to make a name for themselves. The old master narrowed his eyes and smiled, but he couldn't control his eyes. Tears flowed out and down his cheeks. The old lady also wiped her tears and went forward to help Zhang up. Zhong, get up quickly. Go back to the ancestral house and kowtow. The Zhang family has produced a capable person. All the ancestors are happy. Husband, I knew that you were very capable. Back then, when my family objected, I followed you here because I was waiting for this day. Before you came back, my family gave me hundreds of bolts of silk. Xiaobao and Cuckoo also gave me longevity locks. They finally recognized you as their son-in-law. No one said that this concubine is a fool anymore. They all praised this concubine for her good eyesight. Husband, this concubine thanks husband. In a few days, this concubine will have the status of a noble lady. At this time, the Jiangwang clan came over and spoke to Zhang with deep feelings. Her family had sent many gifts over in the past few days. At that time, the Wang family clearly knew that Zhang had gone over. After sending people to pick him up, they didn't care. They thought that even if he passed, he would only get a B grade. At that time, they would help to mediate and become an official. Then, wouldn't Zhang obediently go over? Who would have thought that Zhang would actually become the top scorer? This was not only because of his talent. Without some power, no matter how talented he was, he wouldn't be able to become the top scorer. Because of this, the Wang family was anxious. Seeing that Zhang had the ability, if they didn't go and express their goodwill, when the time came that he would ignore the Wang family, many people would laugh at the Wang family. It was just like the saying that one shouldn't bully a poor young man. In a short 5 years, Zhang was no longer the person who didn't dare to refute. He was no longer the person who had to secretly take a wife with him. It was only in the past 2 years that the Zhang clan had transformed from a manor that barely made a living into the current Zhang clan, which was rich and famous. Yes, with a scholar who was the top scorer in the Jinshu examination, the Zhang clan could be considered a clan. After hearing his wife's words, Zhang's eyes turned red. The sullenness in his heart completely disappeared at this moment. Who would dare to look down on him? Zhang? Then, would the servants of the Wang family dare to say to him, "You are not worthy of my wife. Give up." Letting out a long breath, Zhang said to the Jiang Wang clan, "Chao, you have been wrong these past few years. I, Zhang, will definitely fight for a higher title for you in the future." After speaking to his wife, Zhang said to the old master and old master, "Father, mother, let's go back to worship the ancestors. At noon, I will have a good drink with the in-laws." Wang Wan's family was also watching from the side. They were also gratified by Zhang's success. Cuckoo would have a better life in the future. Knowing that they were going to worship the ancestors, they didn't say anything and just laughed at the side. Zhang's family returned to the main courtyard. After placing the incense, they began to kowtow and worship the ancestors. They talked about the unfilial descendants of the Zhang family and how they had done today. After a few words, it was considered that they had finished worshiping the ancestors. After that, they began to deliver things to the villagers. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had brought back things to be delivered. They also took out the things in the main courtyard storeroom. Everyone was happy. Even the villagers of the Li family and the Gu family in Zhuangzi received a gift. Zhang went to find Wang Wan's father to drink. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan ran to between the clouds and the water to see the old man. The two of them had to persuade the old man to plant cotton. When the old man saw Zhang upstairs, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. If he really didn't enter the top 3, he didn't know how to explain it to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He had already promised them. "Grandpa, did you plant the white fold seeds that we asked people to bring back?" Zhang Xiaobao asked the old man when he saw him. "Yes, I did. I didn't plant them in the muddy ground. I found another place. The muddy ground can't be planted this year, so I have to turn it over." "Xiaobao, tell me, why are you raising so many flowers?" After the old man saw the flowers that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan bought, he didn't have a place to plant them, so he put them in his nephew's field. Some of them died, but there were still more than 6,000 flowers left. It was quite a lot. "Flowers?" "Oh yes, flowers. Grandpa Bai, those flowers are different from other flowers. We usually stuff cotton wool in the bedding. When the flowers bloom and bear fruit, they can replace cotton wool in the bedding. They can also be woven into cloth to make clothes. It's much better than cotton wool. Zhang Xiaobao explained to the old man. Wang Wan also said, when the time comes, the price of silk will drop. More people will be able to wear silk, and more people won't have to worry about not having clothes. That cotton can be plucked. Oh, it's the white fold seeds. Put it in a pot and steam it. If there are wounds on the body, use that to bandage them with medicine to make the wounds heal faster. Oh, there's such a thing? I've never heard of it. I'll listen to the two of you this time. If it's really that useful, I'll submit a memorial to let the emperor know and plant it in some state capitals. The old man had never thought that the white fold seeds could be used to make clothes. In the past, he had always thought that it looked good when it bloomed. Grandpa Bai, don't worry. It will definitely be useful. It's just that it will take some time to remove the seeds. Xiao Bao, and I will think about it and make something to press the seeds. When the time comes, it will be convenient. The first bedding we make will be given to Grandpa Bai. Zhang Xiaobao promised the old man. The old man only thought that this was taught by someone else. He thought about using the white fold seeds as a bedding in the future, but he didn't know how it would feel. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw that the old man had agreed, they bid farewell and went to find Li Sun. Li Sun also followed them back. He didn't want to stay in the capital. When he came back, he also brought some things. There were more than 100 watermelon seedlings with mud wrapped around the roots. This was his housekeeper's cold melon. It was an ornamental thing in the imperial gardens. Occasionally, people would eat it, but no one used the seeds to make melon seeds. Zhang Xiaobao had asked him what was in the gardens. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care about other things. When he heard Li Sun describe the watermelon, he became interested and asked Li Sun to get some to plant. This thing was easy to raise, and it was better to put it in the sand. When the time came, he would get some iced watermelon to eat. The seeds could also be used as snacks. The watermelon seeds tasted better than sunflower seeds. The layer inside the watermelon skin could also be used to cook. He could fry melon slices or eat cold. When the time came, he and Wang Wan would each hold half a watermelon and eat it with a spoon. The taste was really good. Li Sun planted these watermelon seedlings in his home. He specially chose a place with a lot of sand to plant. He didn't feel that this thing was good. It was just a little sweeter in the mouth, and he often had to spit out the seeds. It was strenuous. I planted it. It's all here. Take a look. I don't know why you were willing to eat this thing. Why don't you eat some peaches? When Li Sun saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looking for him, he knew that it was about the watermelon. He took the two people to the place and pointed to the watermelon seedlings. Well, when the time comes, I will make something good for you to eat. You must have not eaten it before, especially when it ripens in summer. You can use it to relieve the heat. You can't eat it directly. You have to throw it in the well town. When the time comes, I will make cold melon slices for you. It's not worse than cucumber. In the future, when you have time, you can go to the garden and have a look. If you find something strange, you will find it. Zhang Xiaobao began to promise Li Sun again. He also asked him to go more often in the future. If he found something that could be used as food, but was treated as ornamental plants, wouldn't it be a crime? Then I'll wait for you to make some kind of melon slices. If it's not delicious, I won't take anything out for you in the future. Li Sun said with some doubts. He didn't think that this thing could be delicious. If it wasn't from Zhang Xiaobao's mouth, he wouldn't have any hope. Well, leave it to us. There is one more thing to discuss with you. Can you lend some of your guards? Not many. 20 are enough. Lend them to my father for a few months, and then return them to you. My father is a new county magistrate there, and some things may not be so easy to do. Zhang Xiaobao finished talking about the watermelon and began to ask Li Sun to get more guards. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.